like it.
Again, Doug?
The flag still stands for freedom.
Hey, we got a big lineup. We got Billy D. 40 minutes today.
In 1776, a fire was born. 13 colonies stood battle worn. They raised a banner in a dangerous hour, defying kings, defying power. Red for the blood that the brave ones paid, white for the hope that would not fade, blue for the faith to endure and stand, a newborn dream in a promised land. The flag still stands for freedom, through the storm and through the fight. Stars united, stripes remembered, guided by justice, born in light. From sacrifice to destiny, through every test, through every season, lifted high for all to see. The flag still stands for freedom. The flag still stands for freedom. 13 stripes for the first who stood, bound by courage, bold and good. Stars like heaven's scattered flame, each one equal, none the same. A new constellation in history's sky, not ruled by fear, not built on lies. Unity forged not by control, but liberty burning in the soul. The flag still stands for freedom, for the strong and for the weak, for every voice that dares to rise, for every truth we dare to speak. It waves for hope, it flies for grace, for every child, every reason. Still proclaiming time and space. The flag still stands for freedom. The flag still stands for freedom. From 13 stars to 50 bright, each added July sacred light. Fields of war, the fallen brave, draped in honor o'er the grave. From distant shores to city streets, from whispered prayers to victory beats. Through 250 tested years, it stood through triumph, stood through tears. Not a myth, not just a sign. It's the promise bought with courage, paid in blood, preserved in time. One nation rising, hand in hand, still protected by God's reason, as long as hearts defend this land. The flag still stands for freedom. Teach the truth to every age, to all our youth. Let history speak, let justice reign. Freedom's banner still remains.
Okay, I got a couple more. We'll do two,
Imagine a yacht designed to make
three
you
today.
Don't mistake the calm for weak. Don't read silence as retreat. We don't bark, we don't boast. We just load it up and coast. You can poke, you can prod, talk your big game, play your odds. But there's a line carved in stone. You don't cross it and go home. We don't want twice, we don't miss. When the switch flips, it's over quick. When the eagle takes flight, it ain't loud till it's done. Sky goes dark, targets run. Still ain't no place to hide. Yeah, you can talk that talk, beat your chest, pick a fight, but you'll learn real fast why you don't push when the eagle takes flight. We don't need to scream our name. History remembers pain. Every scar, every war left a lesson at the door. From the dirt to the stars, we don't bluff, we don't stall. We don't come for revenge, we just end it, that's all. Last chance passed, clock ran out. Hear that sound, that's freedom loud. When the eagle takes flight, it ain't loud till it's done. Sky goes dark, targets run. Still ain't no place to hide. Yeah, you can talk that talk, beat your chest, pick a fight, but you'll learn real fast why you don't push when the eagle takes flight. No speeches, no debate, just consequences delivered late. When the eagle takes flight, say goodbye to your pride. Red, white, coming down from the fire in the sky.
Hey, Red, white.
That's what happens.
Okay, I'll just do two. We got a lot to cover. God bless America, and God bless our best president, first lady, first in the past. Uh, military and the first responders. And hello once again on a Monday, August. What do we got? 24th, 23rd, 24th. We're at the end of August, and not in sight when the movie going in. So yesterday, I guess I might have pushed the button that shut that thing off with Captain Kyle. So the next video I will play his video again. I guess I didn't, I just made another pushing the wrong button. All right, yep, we're getting everybody in. So we got the second hour. We're gonna do Billy Bean, 39 minutes. It's high because she was off for 2 days because of the internet, so she's gonna probably have some big ones. But I got a lot of other good stuff, so we're going ahead and get started here. We're gonna start off with the cat lady, crazy cat lady with 2 of them. More chickens. And I got followed up by 3 of the cowboy. His first one's about 8 to 10 minutes, and then the other ones are short.
Back with some more rooster advice. Now, the reason I'm doing roosters right now is because, like I said, everything that I put on TikTok is being violated within 10 seconds. So this is little Trick. He is what you call a silky. Okay, he is very small. He is full grown. He just turned 7 years old. Now, I made a mistake a couple years back because he kept flying over where he wasn't supposed to be, and I've always trimmed their wings to keep them from doing that. Well, don't ever trim a silky's wings. Don't ever do it. It never grew back. But anyway, he's in a separate containment area with his 3 girlfriends because the big roosters would take him. Hold on. It would take him out because Tricky would beat those big roosters up if he was out there, and we don't want that happening. So Tricky is very much a gentleman. He is one of those type of roosters that he likes to take his girls out on dates. He likes to have an established relationship before they go any further, unlike the roosters out there that literally the hens wake up and have no idea what the hell just happened. So what I'm going to show you right now, he gets very scared. Even though I've had him for 7 years, he's trembling. He does not like being on camera, and he does not like TikTok. So the bad thing about silkies is in the summertime, they cannot tolerate the heat. They do not have hooks in their feathers like most chickens do. They don't have those hooks. If you pull his feathers out, if you pull a regular chicken's feathers out, it has like a little hook on the end of it, like on the root. Silkies don't have that. It's almost like a fur. So in the summer, this lays flat. The humidity and all that, it lays flat. It packs him full of heat. He cannot stand it. So 99.9% of the time when it's a heat index like it is now, he's in the bathroom, in the bathtub. So he's going to be spending the night tonight because the heat out there is so bad. And it's been so bad today. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to get rid of poultry mites, keep mites off your chickens, and help prevent fly strike. I see this video is already 2 minutes long. Heck, we got to speed it up, Trick. Okay, poultry mites, you don't want them in your coop. You don't want them on the chickens because what they do is they suck the blood out of them and they make their combs turn pale. They'll actually end up unaliving them. Okay, I know, Tricky, and it's stupid. We got to talk like that. So the other thing is fly strike. If your chicken happens to get diarrhea for some reason or something like that going on, and you don't notice it, and that poop stays on their rear end, well, during fly season, which here in Alabama, it's always fly season. Tricky, you got to cooperate. I know, I'm embarrassing myself. Anyway, Tricky doesn't have any poop on his rear end. If they get poop stuck back on their rear end and you don't see it and you don't get it off, flies will go and lay their eggs inside that poop. Within 24 hours, maggots hatch. The maggots immediately begin eating the chicken, and they will go inside of the chicken and start eating them. That's it. You can grab them, you can soak them in what I'm supposed to tell you to soak them in. You can do everything you do, but if you wait too late, it's too late. So here's what I'm going to show you how to get rid of poultry mice. Poultry mice. Oh, I ain't even drinking. Poultry mice is neem oil. I don't normally do this in the house, just so y'all know I'm doing it just for y'all. It's dark out in the coop. I'm not doing it, but I'll be doing this tomorrow with a bigger container. But we're going to do it here just to show you. So what I do with the neem oil is I just kind of wing it. I pour a little bit of that in there. I would say for a big container for a bunch of chickens, I probably do a fourth of a cup. This is me. Okay, this is what I do. I mix it up. I got this water warm for Tricky. I don't bring him in icy cold water. And when you put them in there, make sure you hold them tightly, because if they flop around and get neem oil in your eye, it is an experience you will not forget. Believe me, I know. So what you're going to do is, if you happen to see poop on the rear end and you want to get it off, take them, dip them in the water. He's not going like this. I'm just going to let you know. Normally the container is bigger, but I just water him for inside. So first of all, this also, I just let him sit in it for a second. That's getting down his legs for those leg mites, scaly leg mites. And you'll see scales should never be able to lift up. If they lift up, they've got scaly leg mites and they will suck and dry. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to lay Tricky down, keep his head up, obviously. Oh, you can't see that. All right. Here we go. All right, Tricky, you're almost done. You're a movie star, baby. You're a movie star. TikTok famous. Keep your head up, Tricky. All right, we're laying him down. All right. And I'm just going to put a little bit here. Now, silkies, as you see, are a little bit different. They retain that water. So he's got a towel to dry. Yeah, stand up, baby. Yeah, like your legs broke. If their rear end has poop on it, you're being so good. You want to take that rear end, and you're going to take that warm water, and you're going to keep rinsing. Use your fingers. If you don't want to use your fingers, put gloves on. Do something, or your chicken ain't going to live. Keep on doing it. You pull that poop off. Get every bit of it off if you see it on their rear end. Do not leave poop on chicken's rear ends, okay? And then, I'm just going to do it again. Make sure we got it. Okay? You all right? You're all right. It's very dramatic. Very, very dramatic. So you're going to dig it real good. Make sure that neem oil's on everything. All right, don't get it on their face, on their eyes. I do get as close as I can, but I gotta be careful to stick the head over the water. Sometimes they're not really smart. Now we're gonna wrap Tricky. If you have your chickens outside, you don't have to worry about this, especially in the summer. They'll actually appreciate it. But because he's gonna be inside, we're gonna wrap him up in a little towel, like a little baby. Now, you see how little he is? I want you to imagine when he was a teenager and he was wanting to attack me. It wouldn't have been much for me to keep picking across the room, would it? You know what that made me? A horrible person. So show everybody what you look like, Tricky. We just got rid of any mites that might be on you. You didn't have no poop. This is a gentleman right here, don't you? You always call when you say you're going to call. You show up when you're going to show up. He doesn't drink or do any of the things. He's a good little man. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Good evening, guys.
How was that one? This is their second one.
I have posted 2 videos in 2 days, and I mentioned one man's name. The video I just posted was 24 seconds long. I'm going to put the screenshot here. And all I told you about is what a certain news channel that I watch has announced. They violated it. Yesterday, I posted a video telling you about this. They violated it. All I'm doing is mentioning one man's name. Do you remember when Minnesota burned? Do you remember I Can't Breathe? Do you remember the knee incident? You know what I'm talking about? Obviously, I can't say it. When you say his name, DC, they violate you. And I just came on here and gave you guys an update. The channel that I watch has just said, okay, you know the guy that helped Trump? He's a trillionaire. His last name rhymes with Busk. And his first name rhymes with Pelon. He has put it out there that DC needs to be released. TikTok is taking it down. If you mention that man's name, Minnesota, I Can't Breathe, DC, Rarick Bovin. This is insane, guys. You can't even talk about anything now on TikTok if you're conservative. They said I violate their standards, and they're all about keeping the community safe. And all I said was what I just told you. Let's see if this one stays up.
Well, since you said that, I got one from last night about that name. Penny Johnson came out last night. Before I do the 3 Cowboy Guy one, I'm going to play this one real quick. 10 minutes.
Long, boring cardio sessions.
Does anybody actually know what happened to George Floyd? I mean, we got him a 24-karat gold-plated casket valued at $25,000. This was used for public figures like Michael Jackson and James Brown, of course, you have seen.
Cheetos. I did it again.
Dollars. This was used for public figures like Michael Jackson and James Brown, of course, you have seen.
How's it now?
Of this casket before. It's like the craziest thing that you'll ever see. And here are the cops kneeling to his cat. Here are cops kneeling to George Floyd's casket. And you, like, what? The past is such a fever dream, dude. It feels like you're hallucinating. Okay, so what did he do to deserve this golden casket and all these statues? There's a 700-pound bronze statue of George Floyd in Newark, New Jersey. All right. I mean, it's cleaner than George Floyd ever was. You know what I mean? Because George Floyd was addicted to drugs. Here's another statue of George Floyd. Did it get crapped on by a bird? I don't know. I'm not trying to disrespect the dead. I always think that's bad. But it is important to tell the truth about people. That's moral thing to do. And since we burned the nation down, there were over 500 BLM riots. There's the riots and protests all throughout the country. This spread like a literal cancer, the fake news about George Floyd, because George Floyd didn't die in police custody. George Floyd was alive when he got to the hospital. The ambulance went to the wrong location, by the way, in case you are interested in going down some deeper rabbit holes. Why did Derek Chauvin have to kneel on his neck? It wasn't his neck, it was his shoulder blade, in a legal hold that didn't kill George Floyd. How do we know it didn't kill George Floyd? Because I love Derek Chauvin so much? Well, he's clearly an innocent man. George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose right here. This is his autopsy. Anybody ever showed you his autopsy? Oh, no, they locked this down. Look at how much narcotics were pumping through George Floyd's veins when he had a heart attack. Effectively, he just had an embolism. His heart burst. Because he'd done so much meth. He'd done tons of meth and fent. That's what happened here. Don't believe me? Here's the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's autopsy report. Look at what he's positive for. It's a miracle this dude could function at all. He'd done so much drugs, and then he walked in, tried to commit a crime, tried to use fake tender to buy stuff in a store. The cops came by because he had committed a crime. They tried to restrain him. He fought with the cops, and the cops called an ambulance. Did you know that the ambulance went to the wrong address?
The ambulance went to the wrong address. which is why there is such a long, typically an ambulance would be there in about 90 seconds at the most. There's, a fire station that close. They went to the wrong address. And you see this on the body camera footage that one of the paramedics is almost joking around with Thomas Lane going, gosh, we didn't know where you guys were. We went to the wrong place. That's why it took us so long. And there's a very problematic EMS response to all of this. That is also not allowed to be discussed in Chauvin's trial either.
What's the problematic EMS response?
The fact that they go to the wrong address. They also are hooking George Floyd up to get air or to breathe, and the machine itself is not plugged in the ambulance. There's been
the machine is not plugged in.
Yes, this is all in the documentary. For EMS, this is all.
Oh,
What do you guys think of this?
so this
one?
whole he was on George Floyd for 9 minutes. Well, yeah, George Floyd was fighting with the cops and a danger to himself and others. He had to be restrained.
Colorado is at it again, trying to silence free speech. A law in Colorado forces businesses to use customers' preferred pronouns, even if they're violating.
The reason he was there for 9 minutes, it should have been 90 seconds. Nobody should have been able to get out a cell phone and even film the thing. Did you know that George Floyd was alive when he arrived at the hospital? Man, this is a new one on me. It's gone viral. George Floyd was alive when he arrived at the hospital. The court ruling allowed Derek Chauvin to test the heart tissue of George Floyd. The autopsy report shows that the antemortem blood was collected by the hospital May 2020. By definition, antemortem means before death. The autopsy report, public since June of 2020, in the court order referencing it to the state, antemortem blood was collected in Hennepin County. Specifically, toxicology testing was used antemortem blood specimens collected at 9 p.m. This is important because blood changes when you die. If you're if you're in a hospital setting, things can be introduced into your blood. And so it's very important, is the subject alive or dead? And so these words matter a lot. So it was collected at 9 p.m. There's also a reference to antemortem peripheral blood smear at the time inside of the hospital. Antemortem means before death. So correct, by definition, George Floyd was alive for 41 minutes after Derek Chauvin. So he couldn't have killed him if he was living for an hour at the hospital before he died of a massive coronary due to the obscene amount of drugs in his body and stress that he was under. Well, okay, he took all these drugs and then committed a bunch of crimes and then fought with the cops. This is what actually happened. And this is why Derek Chauvin is asking for an overturn of his trial.
We're watching a movie, right, you guys? I can't believe they not lied to us about this stuff.
Well, actually, not even. Derek Chauvin's asked for an overturn of his trial, not in spite of the fact that none of the evidence shows that Derek Chauvin had anything to do, certainly had no criminal culpability in the death of George Floyd. In fact, Derek Chauvin and his friends did everything they could to keep him alive, including calling an ambulance and so on. They were trying to help him. George Floyd, as you can see in the full body cam footage, was a danger to himself. He's throwing himself. He's tossing himself on the ground. He's a big dude. He could have really hurt himself. They were waiting for an ambulance. He was on drugs. Derek Chauvin's saying that the trial is fake. None of this is real. We know that the jury selection, for instance, was biased. I mean, this is enough to get a mistrial, just on its face.
To the issue of venue, Mormon also believes juror Brandon Mitchell lied during jury selection.
This conviction, like I said, hopefully just sparks some type of change.
Mitchell, who sat for a Fox 9 interview, never disclosed that he had attended an MLK anniversary march in Washington, D.C., wearing a, quote, "Get your knee off our necks, Black Lives Matter t-shirt."
Oh, okay. Let's get your knee off our necks. So the jury members were wearing George Floyd hoax paraphernalia, because it is a hoax. Because Derek Chauvin didn't kill George Floyd. Say whatever you want about him. Not sure what you think about him. Who cares? The dude's just a cop. But he didn't kill George Floyd. Now he's asking for the state to overturn the conviction. This should absolutely happen. The attorney representing Derek Chauvin, a Minneapolis police officer sent to prison, is seeking a dismissal of the charges of his current client, alleging fraudulent and unlawful conduct by the state and county officials. You're going to be able to have oversight of this on the federal bench, and it's going to be really bad because he has federal and state charges, and this is a very clean-cut case. These procedural charges are far more compelling and far more difficult. When you miss procedure, you deprive somebody of their rights. Attorney, like for instance, somebody gets arrested, you don't read them their Miranda rights, they're out. They're out. They got to know their rights. Okay, it's these little procedural things you got to get right, otherwise you're finished. He argued in a 31-page court filing on Tuesday that Chauvin's due process rights were violated because the grand jury had never been convened to review the charges against him. So, I mean, they just like threw the guy in jail. You knew this was a communist show trial, but that's exactly what it was. Presided over a years-long due process violation by failing to convene a grand jury to consider the state's evidence at any point between the moment that it was assigned the case and the verdict. He lacked jurisdiction over the charges. And the charges were never lawfully brought. He also argued that Tim Walz appointed Attorney General Keith Ellison to lead the case unlawfully, of course. This is what was Attorney General like this to lead the case. Ellison had added the charge of second-degree murder to the complaint against Chauvin. Chauvin ultimately received two concurrent sentences, a federal one and a state one. I think it's going to happen, man. I think it's going to happen. We'll see. I don't even know these things turn slowly, but I mean, the entire purpose of Western civilization, the fundamental bedrock of it, the Christendom of Western civilization, is that we don't put people in prison because their skin color was wrong or because the mob demand us to. Give us Barabbas. We don't do that here. We're not going to like engage in blood libel or tribal feuds or guilt by DNA. We put people in prison very cautiously and very slowly because there's a system to ensure that we're not locking up innocent people. Mercy to the innocent, justice to the guilty. That is the fundamental core of Western civilization. And we got it so wrong here, and it's terrible, and it should be righted. So, pray.
Okay, what do you guys think of that? How was last night? Came out with that last night. So I got three cowboy guy. There's a lot more shorts here before we get to the other. This one's about 10 minutes, I think.
Then I strongly recommend you listen to what I'm about to tell you. I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I was getting off the interstate, sitting at the stoplight off the exit. And I noticed that there was a man with a woman in a wheelchair, and she was missing one of her feet. And they were asking for money. And I looked in my console, and I saw that I had some change and some spare bills, and I grabbed everything I had in there, and I called the guy over, and I gave it to him. And as he got it, he looked in his hand, and he walked back over to the edge of the pavement, and he threw it down in the grass and looked back and gave me a dirty look. And I thought to myself, you know, there must have been $15 or $20 worth of change and spare bills in there, and this guy just threw it on the ground like it wasn't enough. And I was so aggravated. And not long after that, I was back in Bowling Green, and there was a man standing next to a van in the Walmart parking lot on Campbell Lane. And I noticed there was a woman sitting in the front seat, and on his sign he was holding, it said, "Need money, traveling, anything helps." And immediately when I saw that, I thought about that man who had threw that money down. And I said, you know what? I'm not giving these people nothing. And all of a sudden, I heard this voice in my spirit that said, buy them food. And I thought, no, that's a waste of time. They ain't going to appreciate it. They're not going to eat it. They're going to throw it away. All they're doing standing out here just begging for money. And I heard it again, buy them food. So I went into Walmart, and I'm not telling you to brag that I bought these people something or to tell you that I gave anybody money. The Bible says, when thou doest alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand doeth. Give secretly so that God can bless you openly. But I'm sharing a testimony with you here to help you to understand something. I went in the store and I got them some bananas and some big sub sandwiches and a case of Gatorade and a case of water and a bag of apples and some oranges and some fruit and all kinds of stuff and chips and just everything that I could think of that they would need. Even got them some paper towels. And I brought it back out there and I pulled up and the guy didn't speak good English and I gave it to him and I said, I hope that God blesses you today with this in the name of Jesus. And he said, thank you. And we left. And, you know, it still kind of bothered me. I thought, you know, I want to go back around there and just see if those people are still there. And I want you to know that when I drove around this parking lot and I pulled back up, this man and his wife and 3 little kids were all sitting in the grass underneath this tree by where they had parked. And they were excited and they had all this food laid out that I had gotten them. And they were sitting there and they were having that meal together as a family. Now, I want you to understand something. That experience that I had with that man over there that threw that money down, that was the devil that was trying to block what God was fixing to do. If you don't understand what spiritual warfare looks like, you better be careful about the voice that you listen to. Because the Bible says that for no marvel, Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. You see, I almost allowed that to harden my heart to where I refused to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit that dwells in me. In that moment, when those people truly needed that meal, they truly needed somebody to help them, and they were there for the right reason. Because every time that the devil tries to quench the Holy Spirit, he's trying to stop a blessing from happening in somebody's life. And if we allow the enemy to harden our hearts, then he has already won the battle. You see, the Bible talks about how what the devil meant for evil, God meant for good. We're always going to encounter those situations where the enemy is working through it, but don't allow that to blind you and put scales on your eyes, because I'm here to tell you that blessed my soul to see that family out there and those little kids excited that they could have that meal. Now, I want you to understand that whenever Jesus was telling the disciples and he was teaching in Matthew 25, and he said that when he separates the sheep from the goats, he's going to set the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. And he said he's going to say to the sheep on his right hand, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you visited me. And all of these things. And they said, well, he said the servants are going to say, well, Lord, when did we see you when you was hungry? When did we feed you? When did we clothe you? When did we visit you when you were sick?
Today.
And he said, the king will say unto them, what you did unto the least of these, you did it unto me. I believe that's why the Bible says, be careful when you entertain strangers, because in doing so, you may entertain angels unawares. I can't tell you how bitter I was about that situation, about how ungrateful somebody was, but I had to understand that the enemy works in all things, just like God works in all things. He is constantly looking to quench the Holy Spirit. That's why we need to have such a relationship with Jesus to where we can understand what that scripture says when it says, I am crucified with Christ. For it is no longer I who lives, but Christ who lives in me. You see, you need to understand that it's so important in this hour to pray that the Lord would speak to you clearly.
We're halfway,
because
about 5
the
minutes.
times are changing in this world and the hearts of men are waxing cold. We see all of these things happening, and the Bible says, because iniquity shall abound in these last days, the love of many will wax cold. I want you to take a minute to think about the things that I've told you, because I walk with the Lord every day. I pray without ceasing. I give thanks in all things. And I almost missed that opportunity because of what the enemy done to try to throw a fiery dart at me. Guys, there's a lot of people out there that's struggling. And there's a lot of people out here that claim to know the Lord Jesus Christ. But the Bible says in the last days that people will have the form of godliness, but deny the power thereof. If you want to understand what that power of God is, you need to understand what that scripture means when he says, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Sometimes you never know how much it means to somebody when you just walk up and tell them, hey, I just want you to know that I love you and that Jesus loves you more than anybody will ever love you for your entire life. Can I pray for you today? Can I offer a word of encouragement? I see that it looks like you're struggling. You see, you're going to see people out here that you're going to feel that little tug at your heart, like something's not right. Don't miss these opportunities. Don't allow what the enemy's done in your life to callous your heart, to harden your heart and keep you from these blessings. Because I'm telling you, if you will allow the Lord to work through you, you're going to see things happen that will blow your mind. The Bible says that we should seek the Lord with our whole heart so that we would find him. And we walk by faith and not by sight. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Because I wanted to share this testimony with you to help you to understand that I know we get frustrated with people every day. The enemy is going to sow tares amongst the wheat. You have to pray for discernment. Ask the Lord to give you eyes to see and ears to hear to help you to understand the people around you. Sometimes the people who are closest to you will cut you the most. Well, most of the time it's family. Jesus said we're living in a generation where there'll be 5 in one house divided, right? The father against the son, the mother against the daughter, the brother against brother, and sister against sister. We're seeing this happen because iniquity is abounding in this generation. People are not getting closer to God. We're seeing them falling away. And there's a lot of deception in this church generation. Guys, if you haven't got a chance yet, I've got a podcast on YouTube, Spotify. It's called the Tyler Wood Encounter, and it is the truth without compromise. A lot of y'all know about it, but social media tries to keep these posts hid. They will not show them to anybody. We've got over 912,000 followers on this page, and every time I post a link to the podcast every Friday, we got a new episode that gets put up every Friday, Lord willing, and Facebook will not show it to 1,000 people. So I encourage you to go check this out. I pray and I fast for these messages. It's blessing a lot of people's souls. We're building the house of prayer here in Lewisburg, Kentucky. We've taken the distillery that I built with my time on the Moonshiner Show on the Discovery Channel, and through much prayer and fasting, the Lord has led me to close it down and turn it into the house of prayer that will be open 7 days a week. If you want to know more information about that, go to our website. It's www.tylerwoodencounter.com. You can find all the episodes there. The video versions of the podcast are available on YouTube and Spotify. If you just Google Tyler Wood, it's going to be easy to find. Guys, thank y'all for taking the time to listen.
Okay, that's this big one from yesterday. I got two short ones. Then I got another 2-minute cat lady.
A friend of mine, and as we was going down the road in the truck, all of a sudden I heard a voice in my spirit that said, if he knew how much I loved him, he wouldn't be able to contain it. Tell him. And I thought for a second, I thought, man, I don't know how to bring that up really just out of the blue. And I thought about it for a minute, and then I heard it again. It said, if he knew how much I loved him, he would not be able to contain it. Tell him. And all of a sudden, something took a hold of my heart. And I felt love like I've never felt it before. And it got so serious that I thought my heart was fixing to come out of my chest. And I almost had to reach down and grip the seat. And it brought me to tears. And I said, hey, brother, I said, let me tell you something. I said, this is going to probably sound kind of weird out of nowhere. I said, but the Lord is putting on my heart right now to tell you that he loves you so much that if you knew how much, you would not be able to contain it. Now, this guy's dealing with some stuff in his own life, and I'm not sure how that impacted him. But I know that I was so excited that he was showing me how much he loved him, because I knew that if God loved him that much, he must love me as much, and he allowed me to feel it. And I'm so thankful for the obedience that the Lord has put in my heart, because even though that felt kind of awkward to say that out of nowhere, I was willing to do it because the Lord blessed me in that obedience. And I've seen so much deception where the enemy has tried to pervert the true definition of love. I've seen all of these people who are a member of this pride community who post things like, Jesus still loves the people that you hate. And they direct that message towards devout Christians who preach from the Bible, who speak the word of God. Because the devil wants you to believe that if somebody tells you that you're wrong for doing a certain thing, that they hate you. But that's not what love is. If I hated you, I would say nothing. If I hated you, I would go celebrate because I would know that you were on your way to hell. But I love you enough to tell you the truth. You see, love, real love, it hung on a cross. It was beaten and whipped and mocked and tortured and ridiculed to a place where he was unrecognizable. And he did it because he loves you. He did it because he's making a better way for you. He's trying to tell you the truth, and he loves us so much that he gave us his word to tell us that there's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. And we have to wake up and understand that God is not slack concerning his promise. He promises us salvation. But Jesus said, not all who say to me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father. You see, all of these people are deceived into thinking that you're a bigot and that you've got hate in your heart if you come to tell somebody that if they don't turn from this lifestyle of abomination and sin, that they're going to go to hell. You see, I'm not walking in self-righteousness. I know that I'm a sinner. I know that I've fallen short of the glory of God and sinned. But I see all of these people running towards this pit, and it's burning with fire that's hotter than any fire we've ever dealt with before. And I too was running towards that pit as fast as I could go, because everything that pit had to offer was everything my flesh desired. But the Lord showed me a better way, and as I see people turn toward this pit and run as fast as they can, I try to stop them and I say, listen, I know you don't want to hear this. I know you don't want me to tell you that you're doing something that's going to lead you to hell. I'm not telling you because I hate you. I'm telling you because I love you, and I don't want to see you go into that pit. I want to tell you the truth, because when you do these...
Okay, one more. We got 3 of them today. This one's 4 minutes.
different. Like time is speeding up. It's like you can't get much done in a day anymore. The first thing you wake up and the next thing you know, the day is gone, and then the weeks went by, and then a month has gone by. And it feels like that something is shifting spiritually. And you notice that people around you don't act the same as they used to. I've noticed this in my own life, and it takes me to a Bible scripture that says, for the sake of the elect, those days hath been shortened, that no flesh might be saved. But what if I told you that we were in a state of heightened spiritual warfare? Now, a lot of you might not know this because our media doesn't talk about it, but right now in Nigeria, in the past 220 days, there have been over 7,000 people murdered for their faith in Jesus Christ. These people are being persecuted by the thousands in Nigeria. Just recently, a story came out about how a 2-year-old was sentenced to life in prison in North Korea because the child's parents had a Bible in their possession. The entire family was sentenced to life in prison because they were in possession of a Bible. Now, I want you to imagine that for a second, that you're at home with your family and you're praising the Lord. You've got your Bible in your house. You pray over your food. You pray for your family. And all of a sudden, the government storms into your house and takes your entire family out and puts you in a prison camp for life because you possess that book. Now, at the same time that we see all this happening, the president of the United States is over in Israel, and he is bragging about how his daughter has converted to Judaism. And we've seen images of Donald Trump and his family with their hand on this wailing wall, praying to this wall. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the people who study and practice Judaism openly mock and deny the Lord Jesus Christ. They study the Talmud. And this Talmud says that Jesus Christ was an idolater, and that he worshiped false idols, and that he was a false teacher. And it goes on to say that he's boiling in hell in his own excrement. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus Christ, because that is pure evil and it is blasphemy. But what should have everyone alarmed is that the leader of the free world is bragging about how his family is converting to a religion that openly denies the Lord Jesus Christ. And recently he was on Air Force One a few days ago, and he said, "I don't believe that there is anything that can get me into heaven." Now, it's one thing to say, "I don't think I'm worthy of the kingdom of heaven," right? That's to be humble. But when you say, "I don't believe there is anything that can get me into the kingdom of heaven," listen, guys, I'm not here to bash this man or to say anything negative or evil about him. But when you say you don't believe that there's anything that you can get you into heaven, that's really flirting with the line of denying the Lord Jesus Christ before men. And Jesus said, "If you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father," because the Bible tells me that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but through him. He said, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. Therefore, I go to prepare a place for you, so that where I am, you may be also." But we see all of this persecution in all of these nations. And I spoke about this in this podcast that I just released yesterday. If you haven't seen it yet, go to YouTube or Spotify or any of these podcast platforms and look up the Tyler Wood Encounter. I go into depth in this. But what we should be alarmed about is that you can get on an airplane and carry that book and ride just a few hours to a place that if they catch you with that book in your possession, the living word of God, they will put you in a prison camp or to death. You think that persecution's not on the doorstep of the United States of America? These people are openly denying the Lord Jesus Christ. They are standing with a religion that says that Jesus is not the way, that he is not the truth or the life. And all of this is happening.
Okay, that is 3 of the cowboy guy today. We missed him yesterday. He's a new guy that people are starting to like. So I got a third cat lady, then we'll get back to doing the short ones. And we'll get to the 5-minute ones. The big video of the day is Billy Bean, 36 or so minutes.
Right? But I'll leave him alone. He's not really in my way. The ones that are in my way, after I get tired of trying to go around them or go under them, I do take down part of their little web, and I hope that they build it somewhere else. Because let me tell you what happens. Leave nature alone, because it's doing its job. I have hardly had any flies this summer at my chicken coop. Here comes the police. Here comes the police. I've had no flies at my chicken coop because I have left these little guys alone. They do their job. Leave them alone as much as you can, okay? Mother. tell you something else. Your mama and your daddy, when you were younger, told you if you ever see a raccoon during the day, you better get out of the way or kill it because it's got rabies. False. That's not true. Raccoons come to my house all the time during the day. Either the mama has just had babies and she knows predators are out at night, so she has to stay near her babies at night, or people are building and tearing down everything around here, so there's nowhere for them to eat, so they come out to look for trash and things like that. You will know if they've got rabies. Google it. There's a sign. They stagger around. They act crazy. Also, distemper can do that. So let me show you something. This is called an elderberry tree. An elderberry tree. Okay, I want you to look at the berries. I'm going to show you the stem of this tree. Right? So you have these, if you live on any kind of property, I don't know if they're up north, but they're in the south. If you have any kind of woods, you have probably mowed this tree down thinking that it's just some weird some weird weed that's growing, and you have destroyed something very valuable. You have heard of elderberry soup? Well, honey, let me tell you something. This is nature's medicine right here. It is so good for a cough. And guess what else you can make? Elderberry jam. Now, Google that. Look at this. I've got some fresh elderberries. Okay? Make sure you look at the leaves. Google it so you know what to look for. That's the dead giveaway right there, is that stem. It has these little knot things on it. So, that's your little nature tidbit for the day. Sorry about the geese. They're like the TikTok police, constantly after my ass.
Okay, we got 3 hours in today so far. Two minutes.
His crown in the north, his face across Canada, his midsection around Mexico and the Gulf, and his feet extending into South America and Patagonia. But the image is only the first layer. The crown of thorns rests over Quebec, Labrador, and Newfoundland, a region that includes the Torngat Mountains, historically rendered on some maps with the older spelling Thorngat. Prince Edward Island forms his closed eye. And even there, the language of sight appears. The island contains Bird's Eye Drive, while the famous painting to Prince Edward Island centers on a woman looking through binoculars, an image recognized for its connection to vision and the act of seeing. Directly beneath the eye, Nova Scotia forms his nose. There we find Anthony's Nose, Francis Nose Island, the famous Blue Nose schooner, and the historic name Blue Nosers for the people of Nova Scotia. At his midsection lie Mexico and the surrounding Gulf. One long-standing interpretation of the name Mexico is the place at the navel of the moon. And at the foot of the figure lies Patagonia in South America, a region historically associated with the Patagons and the land of the big feet. Did the people who named these places understand the complete image? No. But the Creator did. God knew the languages that would be spoken. He knew the names that would be given. He knew which names would survive. And he knew when this image would be discovered, or when he would choose to reveal it. The image, the names, the history, and the geography do not remove the need for faith. They help strengthen it. The people naming these places may not have known, but God, the artist, did. The unveiling has begun. Do you see him there? Faith Map News.
Okay, another important one there, I thought. And we got Irish lady or British lady, 2 minutes.
says she's coming over to pursue her acting career. Yeah, because over in California, where they live near Hollywood, that's just not really that well known for its acting, so they need to come back to the UK. She put out a rumour that she's going to be in the next series of The Gentleman, but of course, no gentleman would ever go near that trailer trash and her Rasta Mouse mother. So they are still planning on coming back and be about as popular, I would imagine, as a particularly virulent strain of chlamydia in a retirement village. In other news, 5 feral kids driving the wrong way down a motorway in a stolen vehicle are killed and killed 2 police officers in the process. Kids, stop doing this shit for social media clicks. It is really not worth it. And also stop doing these bloody ridiculous hand gestures. I don't know what you think you look like, but you look like absolute thunderwumps. I've got a tattoo on my back that says don't get a tattoo, right? If I start doing these stupid hand gestures that you're doing, will you stop doing them? Because basically that's the only hand gesture that you need. I think the parents of those feral kids should be prosecuted for the loss of those families, of those police officers. And finally, Liam Gallagher secures his position as the greatest of all time. Now that Glastonbury is a lefty wank fest with Corbynites costing over 400 quid for a ticket, he describes Glastonbury goers as croc-wearing, flag-waving shit cunts. I couldn't have put it better myself, Liam. I remember Glasgow back in the good old days where we jumped the fence. I caught impetigo and spent the summer serving beers behind a bar with massive blistering pustules down my face. Those were the days. That's it, my loves. Batshit bonkers, Britain.
Yeah, certain lady there, everyone likes. I got JM for a guy, a 5 and a 9 minute, and then I guess we better do the first big one, Billy Bean, after those next 2. So a lot to cover. Nine minutes.
2026. Hello, I am John Michael Chambers, and this is your Daily War Report. I ask you to listen with love, as where we go one, we go all. The following report has been provided in part by Guardian Daniel R. War Report. Sovereignty Decree. The structural metric of quantum digitalization. Why life after the network reset realizes absolute legally binding freedom within natural law. The administrative activation of the post-systemic infrastructure of life, completed distribution of Q-phone and quantum financial system platforms within genuine land law, and the optionless expiration of digital control software, Allied Enforcement Protocol. There will come a moment when people look back at the old internet and wonder how the world lived inside such a fragile system for so long. A world where accounts could be stolen in seconds, a world where identities could be copied, a world where fake links destroyed wallets, a world where private data was collected, sold, exposed, and used without true consent. A world where platforms controlled access, messages disappeared, payments failed, and people were forced to trust systems that were never truly built to protect them. That world is reaching its limit. The new internet will not be just another update. It will be a different foundation. Life after the new internet will be life inside a protected digital structure, cleaner, stronger, faster, safer, and built with security at the center. The people will no longer be forced to move through broken digital roads filled with scams, hidden tracking, weak identity systems, and silent control. The new network will be built for protection, access, communication, and financial freedom in a way the old internet could never provide. Imagine a world where your identity is protected at the source, where access is verified securely, where your devices are connected through stronger protection, where financial movement is faster, cleaner, and safer, where digital communication is no longer built on weak rails, where people can interact, trade, build, and connect without constantly fearing theft, manipulation, or silent restriction. This is what comes after the old internet breaks: a new standard, a new protocol, a new digital life. The old internet taught people to accept danger as normal. It made people believe that hacked accounts, stolen passwords, fake support messages, data leaks, platform outages, and digital fraud was simply a part of life.
Have you ever watched someone you love stop smiling? Nuvia provides full...
But they were not normal. They were symptoms of a system that had become too weak, too exposed, and too controlled to carry the future. Life after the new internet will be different because the foundation will be different. Security will come first. Identity will matter. Access will be protected. Communication will become cleaner. Financial rails will become stronger. The people will move through digital systems that are designed to defend them, not harvest them. This is where QFS, quantum safe protection, secure digital identity, and protected access become part of the bigger picture. They are not separate ideas. They are pieces of a new digital architecture where the old weakness is replaced by strength and where people are no longer left exposed inside systems built for control. The new internet will change more than technology. It will change trust. It will change how people access their money. It will change how people protect their identity. It will change how families communicate, how businesses operate. It will change how communities stay connected, how information moves. It will change how the people understand digital freedom. But before people can live inside the new structure, they must understand why the old one had to fail. The old internet cracked because it could no longer protect what it carried. The signs appeared before the blackout. The signal went dark because the old rails were no longer strong enough. The digital cleanse began because corruption, weakness, and hidden control had to be removed before the new protocol could rise. Now comes the final vision. Life after the new internet. A world where the signal is no longer controlled by fear, where access is no longer used as a weapon. A world where the people are not forced to depend upon fragile platforms. A world where digital identity is not left open to thieves, where communication is protected, where financial movement is no longer trapped behind outdated gates. A world where technology serves the people again. This will not be a world of panic, it will be a world of order. Not a world of confusion, a world of clarity. Not a world of exposure, a world of protection. The old networks had its time. It connected the world, but it could not protect it. The new internet must do both. Connect and protect, move and secure, open access and defend identity, bring speed, but also bring trust. That is the future being prepared. Stay calm, stay alert, stay connected. Protect your accounts, your wallets, your devices, and your information. Do not allow or follow panic. Do not trust random links. Do not give your private keys, seed phrases, passwords, or personal access to anyone. The old internet was the beginning. The new internet will be the foundation. And life after the new internet will show the world what digital freedom was always meant to become. The old signal is now fading. The new connection is now rising. And life after the new internet will belong to those who were ready, and are ready for the shift. Be sure to watch our 2 new broadcasts here at JMC Broadcasting Fireside Chat with
Okay, I got a second one. Then we'll do the Big Billy Bean one today.
current reality. The civil system was compromised. The courts were weaponized. The DOJ became a political arm of the deep state, and the American people were left without redress. The structural metric of the network reset has begun, not a metaphor, a technical reality. The old digital rails are overloading. Payments are slowing, accounts are blocking, ATMs are failing. Platforms are becoming unstable. The old internet is not collapsing in one moment without warning. It is cracking first, shaking first, becoming unstable first. This is the foundation, too weak for the world we are ushering in. So why military justice? Because treason has no statute of limitations. Because the Fifth Amendment cannot shield crimes against humanity. Because the Nuremberg principles forged in the aftermath of the greatest evil of the 20th century are now being applied to the greatest evil of the 21st century. Professor David Clements, former prosecutor and law officer, broke it down clearly in a recent episode I sat down with the professor. The only solution to restoring election integrity, financial accountability, and public trust is military jurisdiction. The continuity of government framework invoked back in March of 2020 is still active. The 500,000 sealed indictments are real. The Gitmo Media Center is being prepared to broadcast the trials of the perpetrators for the world to see. This is not speculation. It is the plan in motion. The structural reset has begun. Interferences, glitches, and events are accelerating, and this is just the beginning. Platforms acting unstable, payments slowing down, accounts blocking services, ATMs not working, information becoming harder to trust. These are the signs before the blackout. The old internet does not collapse in one moment without warning. It cracks first, shakes first, becomes unstable first, and the foundation is too weak for the world that we are ushering in. Nothing is accidental. Military precision. Stay awake. So what comes next? The midterms will likely be delayed possibly a year or more, as Juan O'Savin, Professor David Clements, and many others have confirmed. The attacks on President Trump will escalate as the enemy runs out of time. Fauci, Gates, the NIH, CDC, World Health Organization, all of them are going down. Nuremberg 2.0 is not a metaphor. It is a prediction in motion. Your role? Stay calm. Panic is their weapon. Peace is yours. Stay prepared. Pray, plan, and prepare. The silence will come. It will not be the end. It will be the moment before the new connection. Stay connected. The lone patriot is a target. The community is a fortress. The way out is the way through. And when the world goes quiet, and it will, those who stayed calm will understand. The silence was never the end. It was the moment before the new connection. So again, stay informed, empowered, and connected right here at jmcbroadcasting.com.
Hey, two good ones there from him there today. All right, Billy Bean now, 38 minutes.
Throughout your program so you can balance it all. Get started at phoenix.edu.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, August 24, 2026, time in Texas, about 11 a.m. And thanks for like, subscribe, and share, and for hitting the like button. That really helps my channel. Some of the things we'll cover: the U.S. is on fire, and President Trump truly is a wartime president defending America against a collusion of China and the Middle East. And what's going on with the U.S. Treasury? It appears that we now own half of all U.S. Treasuries ourselves. And diesel is up to $183 a barrel, while Buffalo, New York International Airport is out of fuel. And some areas of the world, we're seeing hand-to-hand combat. And Iran has secretly been asked to join the Mecca Pact. In other words, aligning with other Middle East countries who traditionally had been allies of the U.S. against the U.S. So let's get started. We're going to begin with the National Hurricane Center. We currently have off of the eastern U.S. a disturbed area that has 50% chance of development in 48 hours, 50% in 7 days, however, to form a tropical depression. However, this system is moving north away from the U.S. A potential threat to the U.S. is located off of the coast of Florida, heading toward Bermuda. This system has 20% chance of development in 48 hours, 50% in 7 days to form a tropical depression, and it is currently moving west at 15 to 20 miles per hour. We will have to keep an eye on this area. So that's going on. And what do we have about the U.S. being on fire? A lot of that has to do now with actual fires plus temperatures in the U.S. As we have from Skylab, information coming out about much of the U.S. That would be the central U.S. Down to the eastern parts and also southwest, extending across the U.S., including Texas. So we have extreme temperatures, not only in the daytime, but at nighttime. This is what has alarmed meteorologists for much of the U.S., covering Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, also the Four Corners area and the desert Southwest. We're not seeing a sufficient cooling off at night, and we're seeing in the daytime triple-digit temperatures in many areas, 100 degrees up to 111 degrees. But we're seeing temperatures at night, 79 to 89 degrees. It's been, I believe, in my research, we need to have, for human health, a cool down at night of at least 20 degrees from the daytime temperature to the nighttime, somewhere from 70 to 75 degrees. 79 to 89 is not sufficient for the natural cooling down of the human body. And we're seeing meteorologists give us a level 4 extreme heat advisory for much of the U.S. and insufficient cool down at night. And this prediction model affects us from today through about August 30th. It's an 8-day forecast. So a heads up with the heat going on. And we have this. We have also fire near Reno, Nevada.
This benefit is being kept from our senior population, but every senior homeowner has the right to know that it exists. If you're a senior homeowner, you're entitled to a brand new bathroom renovation for your home.
That's largely out of control. And since yesterday through today, 90,000 have had to evacuate. Today in Dallas, we'll see a high temp of 108. And now, what's going on with other factors affecting the U.S., primarily economy? We see Canada suspending tariff talks with the U.S. and President Trump. Canada says it's going to now impose tariffs on U.S. products, and President Trump says, I'll see you and double that. So that's going on. And we have this, Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, later this afternoon will announce specific moves by the U.S. against Iran in terms of sanctions. And we're seeing the U.S. say, once the U.S. puts these additional sanctions on Iran, any country doing business with Iran will receive the same U.S. sanctions. But we don't yet know what they are. We're seeing 44 arrested over the weekend in Nashville who were selling illegal weapons and drugs from U.S. intel. We see diesel up now to $183 per barrel. And that includes the cost of 1 barrel of crude oil plus the refining cost. We see at the Buffalo, New York International Airport that Buffalo Airport is out of jet fuel. And this is an international airport. This happened last night, August 23, about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Buffalo out of jet fuel, also from U.S. Intel. We have that the U.S. Treasury now owns 1/2 of all U.S. Treasuries that mature in the next 10 to 15 years. Some are saying the U.S. is becoming another Weimar Republic. That's referring to a steep economic situation. I believe that was in Germany between World War I and World War II, where you could have German currency fill up a wheelbarrow to buy 1 loaf of bread. I think that's somewhat pessimistic. I do not believe the U.S. economy is on the verge of collapse. We have this also from U.S. Intel.
This is the quickest way to clear yellow toenails in 2026.
Christians, did you know there's a bill?
The U.S. Is seeing U.S. bonds being sold by China, Japan, and the U.K. And we have Scott Bessent overnight or yesterday offering Japan for the U.S. Treasury to use Japan's holding of U.S. bonds as collateral for Japan not to sell them. Now, this move by Scott Bessent and the U.S. Treasury had direct, immediate impact on the U.S. market with 30-year plans or investments going down 9 points. We see gold going up 4%. We see Bitcoin going up 6 to 8%. We see 1 billion in shorts liquidated in 1 hour. And we see the U.S. currency going down by 0.80%. And we see that It's being compared, Scott Bassett offering to use U.S. bonds held by Japan as collateral to keep Japan from selling them, compared to paying your mortgage with a credit card. So that's going on. We have this from Lay's Real Talk. We know that upcoming Xi, the president of China, is to visit President Trump. That's September 24. But we see Xi arriving on the night of September 23, spending one day with President Trump, and then leaving in the morning the following day. And Xi will not attend the UN meeting that will be held sometime later in the week or early the next week. It's being put forth by Lay's Real Talk and other Chinese sources that Xi has told the CCP that he will not be running for another term in 2027 due to health issues. And rumors are that we may see Xi actually resign at the latter part of this current term very soon. So it's right now hard to predict just what China's foreign policy is and moves against the U.S. are going to be, other than we can infer that China is acting against the U.S. on behalf of the deep state, and that the deep state's plan to destroy America from within, including orchestrating the 2020 U.S. presidential coup election, is that the deep state's plan via China will simply continue no matter who the leader is. We have this from P. Guru's recent interview with Martin Armstrong, that essentially Europe has been stripped bare. I've been putting forth for years that the deep state had a plan with this Ukraine versus Russia conflict and the impact on Europe. Early in 2022, I believe September, we saw what appears now to be a U.S. clandestine move to blow up a Russian pipeline supplying Germany with cheap Russian oil, Nord Stream. Now, I put forth then that I believe the plan by the deep state was to destroy the European economy, first beginning with Germany. And in this past 6 months, we've seen Volkswagen and Porsche virtually out of business in Germany. We see other economies in Europe also being flat. Martin Armstrong puts forth that the GDP in Italy now is a minus 0.5%, and that Germany is also down 0.8% in their overall economy. So that's going on. And we have this.
As fire chief, it's my job to help improve my community. That's why I earn my...
That it's likely the European economy for all European Union nations will have a dramatic and very soon collapse in their economy. And he puts forth the Europeans have been stripped bare. I support that that was a deep state plan to destroy the economy of Europe for, no doubt, more comprehensive takeover by the deep state via the City of London Bank. We have this from Times of India that in Newark, New Jersey, near an ICE facility, a violent protest took place. And as I've been putting out, I do not believe these protests we're seeing in many areas are grassroots American citizens, but rather CCP backed and paid for protest via Singham, a Chinese billionaire, and George Soros. So that's going on. So we had over the weekend a violent protest in front of an ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey. And we had one of the protesters making a verbal threat to kill a particular ICE agent and his wife and children. Todd Blanche, AG of the DOJ, has now is pressing charges against that individual who has been arrested. We have this also from Times of India. There was another protest in the Muslim-controlled Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a Christian leader, Jake Langford, was giving a Christian message. The Muslims, I believe, paid for by the CCP, then began to stone Jake Langford. And who did the Muslim-controlled police department in Minneapolis arrest? Jake Langford. So that's going on. And we have this. We have also a recent study, our information coming out that 100 medical studies have associated autism with vaccines. And now a group, Children Health Defense, is suing the American Academy of Pediatrics. And we have President Trump detailing what many would say is a reflection on the U.S. economy. I submit this. I believe this is a redirection of the U.S. economy by President Trump to protect America and American citizens. The U.S. will cut money for foreign aid up to 75%. The State Department budget by 50%, and cut money that's going to certain parts of the UN and NATO and about 20 international organizations. And I say to President Trump, bring it. And we have this in Minnesota, as reported by Stephen Gardner. Ilhan Omar, Somali, we know she's in Congress, has won her primary by 80% of the vote. Now, so far, we know Minnesota is the highest proven fraud state in the U.S. It's believed many groups and individuals in Minnesota have defrauded the U.S. government up to $18 billion, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and so on. And that it's highly likely, I submit, that these fraudulently gained money went into the campaign budget of Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is supported by Muslims in Minnesota. And we have this. It's also been proven and detailed by the FBI that out of Minnesota, many Muslims took U.S. cash in suitcases out of the country and primarily took it to Somali.
Tortoise wins. An
Lot of
upset for
commercial
the
on this
ages.
one.
So I would ask the board, what if our next app?
It's believed $700 million has been shipped out of the U.S. in suitcases on planes in the last 24 months. We see many deep state secrets now being revealed. We have this from HHS, Health and Human Services, has stopped money, Medicare money, to Minnesota, New York, and California. We know that much of the fraud has now been detailed in public from Minnesota, and much from California, and some from also New York. And we have also information coming out about members of Congress engaging in insider trading. So that's being looked into. And we have this, that China to Iran has put forth this objective of China. And I submit now that the CCP has been coordinating through the Middle East for decades and inside the U.S. So we see inside the U.S. for decades a CCP Muslim plan to destroy America from within. So this current grouping of China and the Middle East now, China says to Iran, force the U.S. military out of the Middle East. And I put forth it's China's plan to take over the Middle East any way they can. And we know that Pakistan has 6 overland routes through Pakistan to ship weapons and intel from China into Iran. Pakistan is a player, and I wonder why Pakistan is still posing as a mediator. And we have this. We have that a problem for Saudi Arabia, the initiator of the Mecca Pact, and I now believed Saudi Arabia is being influenced by the deep state, or maybe Saudi Arabia has for decades also been in collusion with the deep state. We saw that Mecca Pact put in place about a week ago with Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey aligning militarily. And we still don't know what the text of the pact is. Some sources say that it contains a NATO-like clause. A hit on one is a hit on all, but the text still remains secret. And we have this being put forth, I believe, by Transition Protocol, that Yemen is a problem to Saudi Arabia. I submit the Yemen government is not a problem to Saudi Arabia. It's inside Yemen that the Iran proxy Houthis are a problem to Saudi Arabia. And we have this, that from Transition Protocol over the weekend, Iran had a secret invitation also to join the Mecca Pact. Now let's examine that. That would mean, we know the U.S. is currently in a conflict with Iran. Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon because, as President Trump accurately stated, if Iran has a nuke, they will use it. Absolutely. So we see the U.S. in a conflict with Iran. We see this Mecca Pact grouping Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey in a military defense. Now, this group is inviting Iran to join. Does this mean then that if the U.S. hits Iran, that the U.S. military in the Middle East will then be hit by Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan? Just saying. But that's going on. And we have Pakistan General Munir meeting with Iran to put forth this secret invitation for Iran to join the Mecca Pact. And we see this information has been provided in Iran to the IRGC and the Iran government. And to the Ayatollah number 2, Mustafa Khamenei, his designate, Ryzen. And we're seeing this. Now we see Bahrain, formerly a U.S. ally, wanting to make a joint military pact with Pakistan. So that's going on. And we know Pakistan is also a nuclear power country. And recall, I reported about 2 or 3 months ago, Pakistan had offered to Iran to supply Iran with nukes. So that's going on. The Mecca Pact text still remains unknown. And we have also interested in joining the Mecca Pact Bangladesh. And it appears,
10 minutes, you guys, 10 minutes.
And it is coming out that part of the CCP and Middle East countries' joint plot is to engage in voter fraud in the U.S. to eliminate as many Republicans running in the midterms. And as I've put forth for years, it was the CCP who orchestrated the 2020 presidential coup. Now we see China and the Middle East colluding against the U.S. and wanting to engage in voter fraud again in the upcoming midterm. So that's going on. And we have this. Dialogue Works recently interviewed Larry Johnson, former CIA, that the Mecca Pact, in the initial group, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey, and now we understand Iran, has been invited to join. And we're seeing also Bangladesh interested. And that Saudi Arabia is under economic pressure from the hits by the Iran proxy on Saudi Arabia. And yet the Saudi Arabia-led Mecca Pact now invites Iran to join. You can't make this stuff up. And we're hearing about, and we will get details this afternoon from Scott Bessent, head of the U.S. Treasury, about the U.S. economic D-Day on Iran and any countries doing business with Iran. And we see the UAE has also cut trade with Iran. And now we're hearing from Borzikman. This is a pro-Russian channel, that the UK has received dozens of coffins from Russia. and that would be of UK military and other government officials who have been killed in Ukraine. So that's going on. And now we're hearing it's believed that Iran, in response to another U.S. military hit, will then hit the Saudi Arabian port, Yanbu. And yet we see Saudi Arabia inviting Iran to join its pact. All right, so it's believed Iran will then hit and make a deeper economic hit on Saudi Arabia and hit their port Yanbu, hit the Oman port Fujairah, and it's also expected possibly that we will see a global collapse in oil and gas markets. And we know in some parts of the U.S., particularly Pennsylvania, diesel is now selling for $6 a gallon. We have words from Speaker Mike Johnson of the U.S. House that he believes, or he is giving us the information, that we will see the U.S. conflict with Iran go to a new phase, and that it appears the U.S. with Israel and Bahrain and the UAE and Oman may be pitted against Iran. We have this from U.S. Intel, that Iran believes kinetic conflict will resume very soon, within days, and that Iran is waiting to see the details of the U.S. Economic D-Day that'll be put out by Secretary of Treasury Bessent this afternoon. So that's going on. And it's believed that Iran says any countries joining with the U.S. to put sanctions on Iran, Iran will look upon as those countries committing an act of war against Iran. And that Scott Bessent mentions national alignment with Iran will lead to global trade pariahs. In other words, Scott Bessent is calling any countries that align with Iran, once the U.S. puts out the details of this new phase this afternoon, will become, for the U.S., trade pariahs.
Gear up for your season at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's Fall Hunting Classic, our biggest hunting sale of the year.
Do you want to know how you personally can help protect the integrity of our elections? Americans are right to be concerned.
And this will include Russia, China, UAE, Turkey, Iraq, European Union, India, Afghanistan, and Oman. So that's going on. We have this from Enforcer, a pro-Ukraine channel. Last night, we saw Ukraine engaging in drone attacks once again inside Russia, hitting a Russia military location in Rostov Oblast. And that's Rostov is right on the border of Russia with the new parts of Novo Russia inside Ukraine. Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson, on that edge of Russia. So this is, Rostov is inside the traditional Russian boundary. And we see Ukraine using drones to hit in Rostov the Russian military bases, plus in other areas along this edge of Russia with Ukraine. We see Ukraine last night also hitting up to 3 ozone logistical hubs used by civilians in Russia. So we see Ukraine has been hitting wild berries. That's like Amazon business in Russia. And now they're hitting ozone, also a similar business in Russia, to do direct economic hits on civilians inside Russia. So that's going on. And we have from Alexander Makuras that we're seeing now along several areas of the 1,000-mile front line inside Ukraine. We're seeing hand-to-hand combat between Russia and Ukraine. And some of the areas are near Drosopilia, recently taken by Russia. And that Russia, and also near Nikolaev, where Russia now is advancing. And also in some areas near Sloviansk, where Russia also is advancing. We have from Lay's Grill Talk. Xi's upcoming visit will be very short, only 1 day with the U.S., and it's believed that Xi may step down soon during the latter part of his current term, and that he will not run in 2027. We are hearing Russia right now is mobilizing 1 million Russians, and rumor has it that Russia may ask North Korea to send an additional 50,000 North Korean troops to engage in its conflict with Ukraine. This concludes my update. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, that's a big one for Monday. For first big one of the week. I got a 15-minute one coming up next.
Speaker from Forrester and Tyler Technologies to explore real-world examples of government putting cloud strategies into practice. Register today.
We cannot lose.
You guys like her,
the
right?
midterms.
Yeah.
We absolutely cannot.
Yeah.
We have got to really look at what are the things that we expect and really get.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Or do you have any not inside information, because you probably don't, but do you have any insight about how close we are to maybe getting a Save America Act after all at the last minute, maybe this week, or does it? Or is it fine?
I honestly do not understand why Thune is playing it this way. Because seriously, when you've got Tom Tillis, who's one of his objections is we need to work more with the Democrats. They don't want to work with us. Come on. Wake up. Lisa Murkowski, that's her same thing as well. No, that's not the world today. You know, you got to do what's right.
That's correct. Yeah.
For the people who have actually kept you there. You've been there for a long, long time. But there are some people that say maybe Trump doesn't really want it passed, but because Trump has a backup plan. And what he is doing with the post office and the mail, and he just won in appellate court that the DNCC, the Democrat National Congressional Committee, sued the administration about putting barcodes and restrictions on mail-in ballots so that they could be tracked, and they lost.
So they do plan to do that then?
Well, that's the plan, and we just have to wait to see if the DNCC decides to try to appeal to what
I think that if by any chance Thune is playing along and at the last second he throws it into what they call a reconciliation bill, this whole state of America suddenly is attached to some bill and it's passed late at night and by 50, I don't know how they're going to do it, but if in my brain, I'm thinking maybe he'll work with Trump at the last minute. And technically it could even be done in September, but it's just getting too late.
Tom Tillis says it's too late, but I think knowing our government, even if they passed it in April or May, it would have been too late.
Yeah.
Because they don't figure out how to get things moving versus the way our cabinet secretaries are guiding and leading the people in the agencies and getting them moving, because there's a lot of good things that's coming out of that. And we've got the lowest level of employment in the government in 30 years. So,
well, I'm convinced, and this is just me speaking out loud, and what I think is I just believe that if for some reason they won't, or they can't or won't, if Thune is telling the truth that there's simply not enough votes, I believe Trump will declare an executive order emergency. If not, I believe he already has, because it started way back in 2016. He's already declared it. It's still in effect. But if he had to do another one or whatever, but I think it's still in effect. If he had to, he can make it stick, but it won't be law yet. But he can make it stick for this election. That's one of his aces in the hole, or as they say, his trump card, one of his trump cards.
Right.
But I think another one is the military. They're not going to let a communist government just step in, because they're just not going to let it happen. No, it's not going to. Yeah.
But the first part of what you were saying is absolutely right. He's going to let it play out, but he's got things in the making to counteract whatever is going on. And now there's also something else that someone pointed out, that since USAID money has been cut off, and since fraud committee has been working on things, the Democrat Party, the DNC, is rather broke, and the donors have kind of dried up. So people are saying that this group of Thomas Massey and MTG and Tucker are likely to pull in the Democrats that don't want to go with the Democrat socialists.
Oh, that's interesting.
Think about it.
It's too late.
They'll bring them back over. It's not like they're going to succeed in a third party, because we've had Ross Perot wanted, a third party, and Ralph Nader tried that. That doesn't work.
Those guys, they become anti-Semitics, anti-Trump spoilers. All they're going to do is paint themselves in a corner and make themselves irrelevant. Taylor Greene, whatever her name is she's it's all over for her. She may have some influence as a complainer from the outside, but she somehow sold out to the deep state. I don't know what happened. She suddenly changed on a dime as a major Trump supporter.
Well, and when you think about Megyn Kelly, but think about the Democrats that hate Trump, but would be willing to, at least they might hate Democrat socialism more.
Yeah.
And it could be part of the transition, because when you let go of one thing and you're at least starting to have a bit more of an open mind, we might be able to get through to them.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I don't even know how that all works. I think even if they said, well, we got a couple months to go, let's start a new party. I don't think they can do it. I don't think you're filing and all that. I don't think it can be done anymore.
Steve, they have to go to every state.
Yeah, I don't
They
see
have
any
to
possibility.
get, on the ballot. No, there's no possibility. Yeah. None.
Well, that part's good news. That part's good. Well, I mean, it depends on when you watch whatever Trump puts out and whether you think that particular website that he has, or whether it's a Telegram or on True Social, that's Il Donaldo Trumpo, that people say that's really
Right.
him. I kind of think it is, but nobody can prove it. But, he keeps putting out these funny, ridiculous, sarcastic memes. But one of them is he keeps reminding people to get your popcorn.
Right.
Keeps saying is like that the show is going on. Let the show begin.
Right.
I don't know. He posted. He published something. The White House published something last night, and it said, "Turn your phones off." If you're sitting in a movie theater, it says "Silence your phones." He put out a meme of the White House, and it says, "Silence your phones, sit back, and the golden age is about to begin." That was last night. He released that with about a 2-minute video. He's telling you, get your popcorn. That's what that means. In another form, it was a couple-minute video. It was pretty dramatic, actually. So, yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that the White House came out and said that they're going to do Q-style posts, and then the Department of War has been giving us Q-type posts. We're getting messages, and I hope people realize you have to look for signs.
You really do.
If you're sitting there impatient, just like you're impatient if it takes 60 seconds for your microwave to warm up your coffee, life doesn't work like that. So it's the crumbs that we get are the crumbs that are solid, that will eventually all come together, and we will get there. But we're not even 2 years into his second term, or as he says, his third term.
Yeah, and back to that video I mentioned too, is when he first got inaugurated, he said basically on his first line or two, he said the golden age has just begun or something like that. His meme last night from the White House, it was the White House meme, which of course Trump is behind that. It says let the golden age just get silence your phone, sit back, the golden age has begun. Well, that was the last time he said that. The first time he said it in a huge thing was on Inauguration Day. So that's approaching 2 years. He's not dropped the line. The golden age is here. I saw a thing where one of the players, I can't think of her name, that's always detracting on Trump. She left the country, then she came back. What's her name?
Rosie O'Donnell?
Rosie O'Donnell. And she said, I saw a thing about her that she says, he's tired. He's done for. I could see that. And I'm thinking, you don't even know what this man has left. Yeah, he has times when he's tired in the evening or something, and he might look tired from time to time. Sometimes I wonder if he's playing that out because, the art of war says, let them think you're weak when you're strong.
Right.
Sometimes he'll come off as really tired.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And Steve, if I may bring it back to Fauci, is that I don't want people to be upset that he took the fifth 111 times, and that you think he won't be prosecuted, because I just started to tell you some of the things that he did in the earliest. And all of this will now start to unfold. So what you have to think about is RICO. We will get him through RICO. That's how they got Gotti and taxes.
That's how they get the mob, is with the RICO laws.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And I don't know that much about it, but I know they got one of them. If you go clear back to the mobs before, they got him on taxation and locked him up for the rest of his life. But the Gotti is more recent, but it's the same idea. They'll get him on something.
Right. Did I get the wrong mafia?
Well, they're both the mob, What
Right.
did they call it something else? Or they call them the gang? But it was like Bonnie and Clyde stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And they got that gangster. I can't think of who it was. They got him on taxation, but I think Gotti was more.
Oh, I think you're right that I know. Because Elliot Ness was getting him and yeah.
Can't think of his name.
But so just have hope.
Yeah.
You can have real
Al
hope.
Capone, yeah. Angie said Al Capone.
That was it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. We could kind of see it in our mind's eye, but it's not over. It's not over. And I have just given you some headlines. I'm going to be publishing a 3-part piece that will also give you the articles to go to so that you can see and get a perspective on history. And then you'll be able to compare it to everything he did during COVID. So they might not get him for COVID, but
as long as they get him.
Now, here's the other thing is Senators Bay and Dole are the ones that then said it was okay that people in the NIH could receive royalties on their scientific work. I don't know if you caught Josh Hawley questioning the part where he was questioning Fauci about the awards and how he made over $1 million in a year.
Yeah,
and so
I didn't see it. I heard about it. But
it was 2 senators that made that okay. Why should it be okay for so-called scientists at CDC to make money off of their work when other government employees can't make money? But what was done about that? And so those are the kinds of things that we will begin to learn about, and we will be able to better understand what we lived through with him based on understanding the history of what he's already done.
I hope that one was a good one there. She's always good to listen to. Next one's 11 minutes. I just found this one.
On these documents and the videos, it's pretty clear that they were here for that particular reason.
As someone who investigated 9/11, do these records move the timeline?
They do. That really moves the timeline back significantly to when this support network actually got on the ground here in the United States. Are any hijackers in this video?
There are 2 hijackers appear in this video. Is there enough here to draw a direct connection between 9/11 and the Saudi government?
It's clear that we now have individuals who came here prior to 9/11 who were official Saudi employees. Were they official Saudi employees working on behalf of this plot, or they were also Saudi employees and also serving the needs of Al-Qaeda? I think these records clearly depict not only the advanced team coming here in the United States, but setting up shop, facilitating the care and feeding and housing of the hijackers.
That's information that would have been relevant to the 9/11 Commission.
These videos were obtained in the fall of 2001. Those videos should have been provided to the 9/11 Commission.
As someone who investigated 9/11, do these records move the timeline?
They do. I think that really moves the timeline back significantly 2 to 3 years to when this support network actually got on the ground here in the United States.
Bill Evanina is the former director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center. He spent 24 years at the FBI and investigated 9/11.
The FBI says they may have served as an advanced team for the 9/11 hijackers.
I think based upon these documents and the videos, I think it's pretty clear that they were here for that particular reason. The question would be, at whose behest? Was it from the Saudi government, or were they working for Al-Qaeda directly, just happened to be Saudi employees?
Filmed 2 years before the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the video shows these Saudi government employees, Mutaib al-Suderi behind the wheel, the other Adil Mohammed al-Sadan, hiding behind a roadmap. Along with a third Saudi, they filmed Washington, D.C. landmarks, later identified by al-Qaeda terrorists as potential 9/11 targets.
The declassified record states the FBI assesses that the two Saudis may still maintain ties to al-Qaeda. Sounds like the two Saudis had long-standing ties to al-Qaeda.
Sounds very clear to me that they still possess, which means they once did possess.
Exclusive reporting and declassified intelligence and law enforcement records reveal the Saudi government employees, Sadan and Suderi, may have served as an advance team to vet those who would later assist hijackers in Southern California. The explosive lead was buried in thousands of pages of once secret government records.
We asked you to review these declassified documents. Are they significant documents?
I think they are. I think they really predate what we've known about 9/11 and the support networks domestically here in the U.S. for the hijackers.
Based on these new records and some of the video evidence, is there enough here to draw a direct connection between 9/11 and the Saudi government?
I think we're closer. I think it's clear that we now have individuals who came here prior to 9/11 who were official Saudi employees. Now, were they official Saudi employees working on behalf of this plot, or they were also Saudi employees and also serving the needs of al-Qaeda?
Are the two Saudis overlooked key players in the 9/11 plot?
I think that's a good question. I think these two individuals who are now named provide new investigative leads for the FBI and our intelligence services to go back and put some more pieces together in this really complicated puzzle.
It took nearly 2 decades and pressure from the 9/11 families who are suing Saudi Arabia over the terrorist attacks for these highly secretive government records to be declassified. Investigators for the families found evidence Sadan and Suderi arrived in Southern California in December 1998, 13 months before the first two hijackers also landed in Los Angeles, later receiving financial assistance, obtaining driver's licenses, living quarters, spiritual guidance, and locating flight schools.
Based on the declassified records, what did the alleged Saudi advance team do?
I think these records clearly depict not only the advance team coming here in the United States, but setting up shop, coordinating with imams on the West Coast and on the East Coast, facilitating the care and feeding and housing of the hijackers.
The hijackers, many of them did not speak English, had never been to the United States before. Could they have lived under the radar without this support network?
I highly doubt it. If you were going to initiate this type of sophisticated plot, you don't even want to take that chance. So it was critically needed to have a support network here.
The intelligence reports include phone and financial analysis, interviews, and travel patterns, concluding Sadan and Suderi lived at the same address in San Diego where the hijackers would later stay. Other common links include Fahad al-Thumeri, a well-known figure at the King Fahd Mosque in Los Angeles, reputed to be an Islamic fundamentalist. American cleric Anwar al-Awlaki. He became a major al-Qaeda leader after 9/11 and was killed in a CIA drone strike. As well as this Saudi, the FBI said there's a 50-50 chance he had advanced knowledge of 9/11.
Omar al-Bayoumi, what was his role?
I think he was clearly the fixer, the facilitator, the leader of this potential surveillance cell. And I think the two Saudis came here to vet him.
After helping Sadan and Suderi in Southern California, Bayoumi sent letters to Saudi government officials. Bayoumi said of the men, there is complete cooperation and advanced coordination.
What does that tell you?
I think they are exactly what they say they are. I think they send those messages back to the leaders who need to know that the facilitation of the support network in California is strong and it's workable, and there's coordination of the key people that need to make this work.
Bayoumi was arrested about 10 days after 9/11 in Birmingham, England. His records and videos were seized, including a February 2000 welcome party for two hijackers in San Diego. Some of the most compelling evidence that challenges the official 9/11 narrative was shared by British authorities with the 9/11 families, not by the U.S. government.
Are any hijackers in this video?
There are two hijackers appear in this video.
One hijacker can be seen in the kitchen. Bayoumi instructs the videographer not to film one side of the room. This caught Evanina's attention.
You see, don't film here. And he's motioning
to the left side of the room.
So as an investigator, what does that tell you?
he wants these people seen in the video for sure, and absolutely nobody on that side of the video.
Later, the videographer slips up
Yeah,
and captures
I'm going to
the
go
other
back
side
to
of the
3
room.
So
o'clock
they're having
my
the meal,
time.
and then
I've been out for a couple of
the
days.
videographer pulls up at one
3 to
point
7,
and
3
gets
to
the other side of
6:30.
the room by accident.
Good to see you.
Oh, look at that.
Right? This man is identified in court records as a Saudi government religious official, Mohammed Al-Qahtani.
What's the significance?
Very significant. It's another direct tie to an actual employee of the Saudi government in the welcoming party for 2 soon-to-be hijackers. That's a big deal.
That's information that would have been relevant to the 9/11 Commission.
These videos were obtained in the fall of 2001. Those videos should have been provided to the 9/11 Commission.
In April 2001, 5 months before the attacks that killed nearly 3,000 Americans, in New York City, at the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, 2 hijackers traveled from Arizona to Virginia. Investigators for the 9/11 families developed this map and allege the hijackers passed through Oklahoma and Missouri, where the same 2 Saudi government employees were assigned. In Missouri, Suderi had lived with a known key communications specialist for al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden.
I believe those 2 locations in Oklahoma and Missouri were check-in spots where they had to check in with trusted people who helped facilitate their arrival to make sure they were on the right path and going in the right direction, and if they needed any more assistance on the way.
And there is
I
another
researched it
9/11
really
connection.
deep.
These Saudi
I go
government
all over the
employees
place.
videotaped Washington,
Since
D.C.
day
landmarks in June 1999.
Does that look like a tourist video?
Clearly not a tourist video. It was very specific with intent of not only the visualization on multiple sides of the building, but also the security detail.
About the same time, Osama bin Laden developed an initial list of targets for the plot, including the White House and U.S. Capitol, filmed by the Saudis.
As a trained investigator, what significance do you place on the video?
I think the video really adds value to the fact that there was thought and mindset of potential targets years ahead of the actual event in 9/11. I think that really elongates the time frame.
We've got new leadership now here in Washington. What can the new director of the FBI do?
I think this is an opportunity for the FBI, the CIA, and the administration for that matter, to go and be the most stalwart supporters of the 9/11 families and then deal directly with the Saudi government for access to these individuals. And I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It might not come again, but I think all the stars have aligned to be able to put that request into the Saudi government.
Hey, thought that was an important one to get out. I got the YouTube lady, our new one that we're starting to follow. There's 11 minutes, I think.
Fair Sports. Don Lemon just panicked and cut away from his own interview live on his own show because his guest said the one thing Don Lemon could.
I did it again.
One thing Don Lemon could not allow to stand. Tuesday morning, August 4th, The Don Lemon Show is streaming live. And on Don's screen is a
This lady's good to
46-year-old
follow.
barber from the Mississippi Gulf Coast named Emmanuel. Lemon's own show billed him as a family friend in the Nolan
Take
Wells
care.
case.
Thanks for coming
And that
in.
billing was
Katie,
the
take
entire
care.
reason for the booking.
Trying to go
If you're
Lucy
new
and
to the
Carol.
case, the short version is heavy. Nolan Wells was 18, a student athlete from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. On July 4th, he rode out with friends by boat to Horn Island, a barrier island you can only reach by private boat. That evening, the boat came back to the dock. Nolan didn't. 2 days later, a park ranger found his body along the island shoreline, and after 2 autopsies, including an independent one his family brought in, the answer on cause of death still comes back undetermined. The sheriff, John Ledbetter, says there were no signs of foul play. The family, with attorney Ben Crump, is demanding a full accounting. Al Sharpton preached at the funeral on July 20th, and the whole thing has become a national flashpoint over race in Mississippi. Emmanuel sits inside that story in a way no studio guest ever could. He's known Nolan's mother since she was in high school. He works out at the same gym as the stepfather. He has lunch with Nolan's father 2 or 3 times a week. And years ago, a babysitter started bringing a little boy around his barbershop. That's the man Don Lemon booked, which means everything that happens over the next 25 minutes happens to someone who loved this kid and who stood in the church at his funeral 2 weeks earlier. One more piece of the picture. The Friday night before this interview, Emmanuel's phone had rung, and the voices on the other end came inside the group of friends every network in America has been chasing all summer. What they told him should have been the headline of Lemon's entire week. First, why does a host like Lemon book a barber at all? CNN terminated him in April 2023 after 17 years, and this independent show is the comeback vehicle. The Wells case has been its biggest story of the summer. Wall to wall, the parents, the attorneys, a former judge, an audio expert, a Gulf Coast local who actually knows the family is the booking that makes the coverage feel like reporting. The quiet assumption is that the local voice will confirm the picture the host had already painted. Nobody walked Emmanuel through the quiet assumption. 20 minutes in, Emmanuel stops waiting for the right question. He warns Don politely that what's coming probably doesn't follow the show's questionnaire, his word for Don's prep sheet. And then he says the part no producer scripted. His argument is practical and it's specific. He's for the investigation. He wants Nolan's family to get the truth. He sat in the pews at that funeral on July 20th, the one Al Sharpton preached, and by his own count, nearly a third of the church that day was white, his friends and his neighbors. That is the vantage point he's talking from. And it isn't one a New York studio can book twice. You can argue with his conclusion. You can't argue he's closer to the ground than anyone else this show has put on air. Don's response is the first tale of the morning. Track what just happened to the guest. A man raised in a military family that landed on that coast, invited on to help, just got compared to that crowd that yelled about outside agitators while defending segregation. And clock the wind up right before it. That little apology in advance, which in a live interview is the reliable sound of an insult clearing his throat. Emmanuel let it slide. He stays polite, keeps calling the host by his first name, keeps describing the place he actually lives. The tension underneath the whole segment is simple. The show needs this town to be a symbol, and the guest keeps insisting it's a place. And all the while, he's holding information the host has no idea he has. The young men who won't return a single network's calls had called to him the Friday before. But the strangest sentence of the morning was never going to come from the barber. The two of them spend the next stretch arguing about what.
Check this out. This is how I can afford this Jeep Wrangler.
I was paying $243 for my brand new Jeep for insurance coverage. You can see the breakdown right here. And now
racism actually is. Emmanuel keeps pointing at the everyday life around him. Don keeps insisting that everyday life proves nothing about anybody's heart. And in the middle of pressing that point, trying to explain how affection and prejudice can share a house, the host builds himself an analogy about love across racial lines. On his own show, on the record. Nobody made him say that. He assembled that sentence himself, unprompted, on a platform he owns, mid-lecture to a black guest he'd invited. And the psychology matters here. This is a man whose entire post-CNN brand is detecting dehumanization in other people's language. His radar never beeped once at his own sentence. Emmanuel laughed in disbelief and let him finish. The host rolled on, unbothered, toward the exchange that ends the interview. And somewhere underneath it all, the thing Emmanuel had actually come to deliver about Nolan was still sitting in his pocket, unasked for. 35 minutes in, the conversation narrowed to one word: preference, whether a person can have one inside his own family without earning a label. Emmanuel built his case as a question, a specific ordinary kitchen table question, and handed it to the host. There's the sentence this video is named for, and there's the host's verdict on it, delivered like a man grading a failed quiz. Run the numbers on the rule Don just committed to. By his definition, tens of millions of ordinary American families, Black families very much included, are racist over nothing more than who they hope their kids marry. Emmanuel described half the wedding toasts in America, and the most famous media voice on race in this country just filed it under bigotry. 7 seconds later, Don's screen died. 7. Count them on the clip. Maybe the feed really did drop. Machines fail, even on a professional stream. But watch the timing the way the live audience did. For 35 minutes through Emmett Till and Hollywood and the Klan, that connection held perfectly. The moment the host got cornered on his own definition, he could no longer see the man whose side, by the man's own account, was working fine. And the show went to commercial, where the first thing Don sold was online therapy. Live streams occasionally write their own jokes. When they came back, the explanation lasted one breath. And Emmanuel came back too. Still polite, still patient, still waiting for the show to ask about the phone call from the friends themselves, the one he kept trying to steer toward. It never came from Don. What came from Don was round 2. Round 2 ran 5 minutes and ended with the host excusing himself from his own show. It opened with Emmanuel asking the question the entire framework can't survive. Notice when the clock showed up, Don had all morning while he thought he was winning. One unanswered question later, he suddenly had somewhere to be. And on his way out, he prescribed the cure. A professor would be calling the barber to straighten him out. Not just any professor. Eddie Glaude of Princeton, an MSNBC regular, one of the most famous progressive academics in the country. Sit with the worldview inside that gesture. Per Don, a 46-year-old who cuts hair on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, has a comprehension problem about his own home. And the fix is a phone call from the faculty. The exit came with one final shot aimed squarely at the man. The sunken place is from the movie Get Out. It's the film's image for a black mind trapped and steered by somebody else. And online, it's shorthand for a black man brainwashed into serving the other side. That's what the host of this show called the guest.
Good morning. I am Kirk Earl, and I am at Nuvia Dental, and I am fixing to get implants done.
He invited a man 2 weeks removed from the funeral of a kid he'd known since the first haircut. And then he left for his 11 o'clock. If you want to write that off as one heated morning, his own operation closed that door 3 days later. On August 7th, the Don Lemon Show published its follow-up episode, The Promised Eddie Glaude Conversation. Under a headline, the show wrote itself. The Nolan Wells tragedy exposes sunken place sellouts. The insult thrown on the way out the door came back as branded content. Black locals on the coast who question the narrative now carry an official label on Don Lemon's platform, sellouts. Which brings us to the question the show never thought to ask. What did the barber actually know? Because after Don left, the segment kept going. The show's correspondent, Daniel Grimes, the one who actually called Emmanuel to book the interview, finally asked the question Don never got in 40 minutes to do. What are the friends saying? The kids from that group, the ones who, in the show's own words that morning, are not talking? Emmanuel answered with the only new reporting the show aired all day. That right there is closer to the case than anything a studio panel has produced in weeks. It answers the question every outlet claims to be chasing. Who will those silent kids actually open up to? And the answer turned out to be the barber. A working journalist builds the next month of coverage out of those 2 clips. On this show, the man carrying them spent his morning getting compared to segregation-era hecklers, offered a remedial professor, and diagnosed with a horror movie condition. And the reporting only surfaced once the host had left for an appointment. So put the whole morning in one frame. Don Lemon booked a family friend for credibility and got honesty instead. He compared the man to agitators, reached for a pet analogy while lecturing him on dehumanization, went blind at the exact second his own definition got cornered, came back, lost the argument again, reached for a movie insult, promised the professor, and walked out for an 11 o'clock. 3 days later, his show stamped the insult into a headline. And the actual news about Nolan Wells, in a case that is starving for actual news, had to wait for the host to leave his own show before it could be said out loud. Years before any of this, a barbershop on the Gulf Coast used to make one little boy say his own name before he walked out the door, just so the room could hear it one more time. Manuel came on the Don Lemon show 2 weeks after that boy's funeral to keep saying it where the whole country could hear. Nolan Wells. The host couldn't allow the rest of it. The feed was never the problem. Everything was good on Emmanuel's end.
So how was that one, you guys? She did a good job breaking that down. So everybody, I want to play this one. This guy with the glasses looks like Princess Diana's husband or something. They're saying. Finally, let me know. I'm just gonna play 15 minutes unless if everybody likes it, I'll save it for tomorrow so I can go on get back and doing the short videos. But we'll play 15 minutes. Let me know if everybody likes it. Yeah, I guess not many people are talking tonight. I don't know. Everybody's busy eating dinner. I think it's dinner time. God darn it.
Yes, this honey trick prevents memory loss, but if you already have dementia, Alzheimer's, or yes, this honey trick prevents memory loss, but if you already have dementia, Alzheimer's, or mental confusion.
Yeah, go ahead. So let me say hello to everybody. First of all, to you, engineer, and to all your
Thanks,
loyal
Andrew.
followers.
Let me
who
know about
learned a
this
lot
guy,
from
you
you about
guys.
9/11. You've done a great job debunking the official cabal deep state version, and you've proven that those planes didn't exist really, and the buildings were blown up. Unfortunately, we started disclosures
going on in the world at any given time.
Yeah, and I agreed, of course, with that all human species, fellow humans around the world, or on our Earth, I have to say. And specifically, I would like to give a lot of compliments and pay tribute to all brave men and women that are in active war duty around the world under the US military command since March 27th, 2020, in the US-led global defense war, which is still covert, but I can inform the people about it. I joined the US military by reporting Switzerland. We'll talk about that in a minute. But compliments to all those brave young men and women who are doing a deadly fight. This is a real war. People say it's covert, it's not so deadly. No. It's maybe even more deadly than the wrong wars you saw on CNN. This is the war that ends all wars, and they are doing the right thing. And the parents of those children, great parents.
Like
you know what?
guy?
Pretty proud of them. And these include Canadian officers, soldiers, United States, of course, who has the command, Russians, Indians, Chinese, Germans, Spanish, Italians. I don't know the list. The full list is secret, but we have compiled a few names that are definitely in the operation and that I can mention. So thank you for your time.
And thank you very much for yours. And you'll excuse me for my clumsiness. This is
No
the
problem.
first interview I'm
Play
giving.
about 10 minutes.
And I'm a little bit nervous.
No.
Oh boy, this is, you are an absolutely, I'm thrilled to the gills to have you as my first guest on this channel. I've put together this Rumble channel in order to summarize my work as engineer looking at 9/11 and more recently the bridge collapse in Maryland. There's a lot going on in the world at any given time.
Yeah.
And when you first appeared on the scene, you were like a breath of fresh air because you brought together what I knew deep down in my gut was going on. I know this is happening. And to hear you talking about it with such certainty and such poise was really a thrill to me and to many people out there. And we're all of us asking, who is this mysterious Pascal Najadi, who modestly doesn't says, I'm not that mysterious, but it takes time to get to know somebody. And we'd like to get to know you just a little bit during this session.
Sure.
So back to that first question that I so eagerly charged into. Did you come up with the expression democide? Because I hadn't used that term used before, Pascal.
Let's talk. I don't talk about lawyers because the lawyers are part of the problems that humanity got into. The justice system is wrong, will be obliterated, or is already being removed as we speak. But state judiciaries, a genocide we know, huh? We don't have to go into details, but we got fakes and real genocides. Genome, something that you have, right? A skin color, a religion that you follow, a flag that you have, a genocide, genocidal. We don't have to go into examples. People know what that means. And they, at the beginning of this COVID bioweapon attack on humanity, they said, oh, it's a genocide. No, it's a democide. And I've used it first with a film team that came over from the Atlantic to Switzerland. Good guys. The famous movie cutting off the snake of the head of the snake in Geneva, which was viewed over 600 million times in a few weeks through the entire internet and all platforms. It's a 4-minute piece where Dr. Astrid Stückelberger also said her part to it. And we didn't make that film. That film was made by a professional team. Great guys. And I just spoke freely. They put a camera in front of me and said, look, talk. And I talked. And I specified this as a democide. What these evil, bad and sick beings, they're not humans. But the military will explain to you why I'm saying that now, already to you now.
Is it okay to play?
What these evil and sick, bad and sick beings have been doing, they try to exterminate the human species.
We'll go 15 minutes. We'll
now,
say the rest
democide, I just, I haven't even studied in my life, but demographics, I go. Stillborn babies, murdered, to my age mother, dying, or many killed, murdered. Demographic. Therefore, for me, it's a democide. It's irrespective of color, race, religion, flag. It was a global attack, if it was a global, on the entire population of human species who got injected against their will criminally by force. Coercion is force, psyops. And it was from the beginning known that this is a military-grade bioweapon. Therefore, the rules of war apply. Now, the US law of war is in force wherever you sit, engineer. I'm in the United States, for sure it's in force here too, but everywhere else, in Switzerland, it's in force right now, applicable right now. Because current wartime president and commander-in-chief, my commander-in-chief too now, since 27th of January 2024, has declared war on the world, worldwide, the United States, a global defense war, covert, but it's a war. And if you declare war as a nation, then your law of war is carried out there into the battlefield. And the battlefield is right now everywhere in the world. It's a battlefield. It's a war scene. People get confused. They say, where are the tanks? Where are the planes? Where are the bombs on CNN? Those things happen when you sleep, underground, a lot of underground fighting. And taking out corporates, CEOs, pedophiles, satanic cults, you name it. And special operations, etc., etc. So the US Law of War Manual exists and is downloadable on the Department of Defense website. It's the version 2015, sorry, the War Manual 2015, updated July 2023, where the current wartime president
and that was an hour and 16, so we'll go 16, we'll have an hour for tomorrow.
this General Council of the Department of Defense, have included civilians, because before the US law of war was directed at war enemies. These are people in uniform or spies to be executed as an enemy, right? But here we are dealing with mostly civilians, prime ministers, presidents, ministers, diplomats, doctors, professors, CEOs, bankers, lawyers, judges, you name it. Media.
This is sounding really all-encompassing to me, Pascal. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. So, sorry, the Law of War Manual still has genocide in there, but it is also genocide. So if I call it a democide, it's probably the right definition. And I'm not a linguistic, and I haven't even studied in my life, you know.
But it's an interesting term, and it's the first time we ever really saw that appear, and it's giving the impression that this is something much broader than a specific group in the human family. This is all of humanity, is what you're effectively saying.
No. Human species. You got to be careful with humanity. We talk about treating dogs human-like, so got to be specific. We are not a race. We are a species, and this attack was against the human species. They wanted to eradicate our human species and keep a 500 million rump service slaves until their new modified genome, chromosome, DNA, they're modifying it, right, with these injections. They try to create a new humanoid slave.
This feels illegal to know. I'm 80 years old. I've been paying my electric bill for over 50 years. I just found out almost half of it was for electricity. My
robot.
Keeping a 500 million going, is that an allusion perhaps to what many people would think was written on, say, the Georgia Guidestones?
Okay, let's not go to, this was Masonic too. Let's not go there.
Okay.
Look, human species was to be reduced within several cascading pandemics. Pandemic is an invention of the WHO, criminal terminology. Doesn't exist pandemic. There is no viruses. Viruses don't exist. Not one virus has ever been isolated in a laboratory. Biomass, never. They were to eradicate us, lock us up for more than 10 years, actually, in long term, and then the 15-minute cities and all that stuff, electromobiles don't go far anymore, etc. But kill us in the next 4 to 5 years. Gone. Yeah.
In the essay, you talk about Pfizer and Moderna being fully aware of rogue military elements in engineering the bioweapon in Wuhan during the bioweapons embargo. What did you mean by the rogue military elements?
DARPA, but not all of them. You see, the US military is very big. It's big.
It is more than people can appreciate.
Yeah, and I'm aligned with the US Space Force, so consider me. But I'm not an official spokesman of the US military. Be careful. I'm speaking as a Swiss resistant, if you want to say so, former Swiss Air Force officer who has joined the US military to deliver Switzerland and evidence of their crimes against humanity as specified under Executive Order 13818, serious crimes against humanity, corruption, and then Title 18, Section 2381, treason against the United States during wartime, because Switzerland has harbored, borne, orchestrated, engineered, tolerated, condoned, financed, supported institutions that have produced these psyops with Switzerland, global psyops, and the bioweapon was produced earlier. It was the gain-of-function research on the spike protein, which actually normally could be quite harmless. If you do gain-of-function, then you're reprogramming a biological element of a human body, a human species, and you weaponize it by gain-of-function. You modify it to become aggressive. But it was not the virus that they created. The virus don't exist, right? No, they were doing the spikes, programming them in a way that they kill you. And that's what we have. We have 7.8 billion people now transfected of which 5.7 billion have been force injected with a military-grade bioweapon masqueraded heinously as a COVID vaccine for a virus called COVID or corona that never existed. The gain-of-function research was financed by US taxpayers' money. Fauci funneled it with Dr. Baric and another dude in 2012 into Wuhan,
So this is good, Dad.
a military-grade weapons lab
We'll finish
in
it
China,
tomorrow.
Wuhan,
I want to go back and
financed by
a lot of
Pasteur
work done.
Paris. Oh, the cabal. And they've done all that during bioweapon
Or do you guys want
freezing
me to
embargo
stay,
on the
continue it?
United States and Canada.
You want to do the whole thing?
So they've done a double whammy. Not only have they created a bioweapon that's illegal, criminal, unauthorized, away from, but now we know which president was then president, right? You remember?
Yes. Yeah.
Dude called Obama, right?
Yeah.
A traitor.
Well, I'll do the
A
whole thing.
Kenyan-born, parents Russian-speaking. In Kenya, in the village, they speak Russian.
Okay.
Funny.
It's only an hour 16.
So a traitor
Or
was
under an hour.
infiltrated by the deep state, CIA, rogue elements, even wrong papers, fake papers. If you're not born in America, you cannot become president. It's fraud. It's treason. And then...
Well, President Trump was very much onto that, wasn't he?
Yeah, no,
about
it's
the
all known.
origins?
It's all going to be delivered nicely, like a Christmas tree package to everybody. And Obama's gone. He's executed for treason and other abhorrent crimes like satanic rituals and other stuff. And COVID.
People will ask you if Obama was executed, who are we seeing now?
Oh, it's a double. It's like Biden. I don't know where I'm going. And where's the exit? Here are the stairs. After 2 minutes, he has to go and sleep, right? Ice cream. Hey, his name is Arthur Roberts. Look at him.
Okay, we got a new person in chat, you guys. Donna, welcome. Just be respectful and thank you for coming in and supporting my channel.
Nick Alvear points it out in his film. Are you familiar with Nick Alvear's film Greatest Showrunner in 2023?
Sure. And these films have been produced. They're expensive movies. They're not just some homemade. They've been cheated. Operation Storm that we're going through now, or the war, I call it conveniently Storm, is the largest ever assembled,
what state are you from? May I ask?
Global defense war machine ever assembled in mankind's history, human species.
Are you a new member?
The cabal, as you know, they own the mass media and also opposition media and opposition blogs. It's all the same thing, deep state. But the Trump presidency since 2017, when he was in office, started to work in office. And the military decided, because they are psyops too, they are white hat psyops, the good guys, said, look, we have to grow this slowly. And the informations are coming now from the public, right? Through you and me. And they drop, not only Q drops, that's too obvious, but sometimes all of a sudden a formerly top secret document pops up in the internet and it's real. Like Susan Rice, who instructed the British to spy on President Trump's campaign. Susan Rice. Very bad.
Oh,
It's my understanding she is also no longer with us.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Treason.
You're the first one.
And don't forget,
Mississippi.
most of these guys have done these crimes against humanity and treason during wartime because, again, let's go slow. Section 1550, War Powers Resolution, Chapter 33.
Sarge, we just started it. We still got a whole hour. It's an hour and 16.
That is Title 50. It's now accessible, also now visible in the congressional website house.gov. United States property, right? And there it says,
Thanks, Don.
declaration of
I've been
war
over
has
6
been
years now,
declared by
almost.
President, first mandate, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Global defense war, a worldwide war on all nations, engaging, and it's written there, partner forces, regular and...
So I'll keep an eye on Pasquale, Maria. I'll start playing him more every time. I used to play him a long time ago. I don't know, everybody liked him, so we'll play him.
Irregular. Now, I am irregular because I don't command a military army. I'm former Swiss military, saw the crime. I had to go align. I wanted to, with great pleasure, but it wasn't the right duty call because I had to make sure that the US military knows, has evidence from me about the Swiss government that has borne this COVID psyops and has injected our own people, and not only Swiss people, foreigners, Americans who live in Switzerland too. And the judiciaries, which you know, have all failed because they're all manipulated. You know that. For me, it was clear. The judiciary of a country that is defunct, rendered defunct by sitting government, which is the case, becomes a threat to national security of Switzerland. If the judiciary is no longer able to uphold watertight the Swiss constitution, that is a security risk, isn't it? For the borders, for the investors, for the human beings, for animals,
Eric,
for anything and everything that goes around
Eric,
in our territory. Correct?
Thanks,
You understand
Tom.
that?
Absolutely.
It becomes a security risk if a aircraft management system of a cockpit malfunctions in 35,000.
Stop cutting out bread and drink olive oil every day if you want to reverse type 2 diabetes. How come your doctor never told you that type 2
feet at 800 kilometers an hour or Mach 0.8, and the thing is not reliable anymore? I have to do something about it. I have to switch it off, right? And I had to decide. Very simple. It's binary. So I'm not a hero at all. I had to decide very quickly, and I was happy to decide that quickly. I go with the US military because they've declared war about this stuff. Executive Order 13818, crimes, serious crimes against humanity, corruption, and other elements like treason, etc. Long list of crimes. I observed them as a victim. I had all the proof to deliver. The injuries, the terminal injuries, the injection date, point, doctors who injected, what material, Pfizer in my case, then the criminal charges against the president that got rejected, all that process nicely put together, and the list of names of banks, and names of judges which are on the papers, and delivered that to the Secretary of Defense of the United States at war, which exclusively, in turn, always reports only to the current, in this case, it's current wartime President, Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump of the United States. So,
point being, wartime president, and
yeah. So sorry, I was digressing.
That's okay. I just wanted to go back and say a little comment about you're talking about the war, and it's really extraordinary to consider that this war, as that we're referring to here, has been not only a covert war, it has also been a war that has tried like hell to avoid this conflict from spreading into the civilian population. And every day when I ponder the war, I am most grateful to the men and women who planned all of this, so I do not have to go and pick up a weapon like my ancestors did during World War II.
Yeah.
I don't have to go and fight an enemy and risk my life and get shot in the guts and die a so
No, you will
death.
not. No.
I do not need to do that. None of us do. And the thing is, what do we really have to do? We have to pay a little bit more for our groceries. That's maybe a crude way of putting it, but I would much rather take that alternative than to have to physically go and fight in a war and imperil my life. And where does it get me?
Yeah, we were drifting away. Clinton's, Obama's,
You can call me
Biden's,
Robert.
deep state, Bill Gates, WHO, Switzerland, all these people planned already to kill us in 2016. 17. That's when they planned. Hillary Clinton tried to, well, she stole the election, but she failed. And the military stepped in, not adding votes to President Trump. No, they just cut off their illegal fake votes coming in to the box.
They stopped the steal, in other words, didn't they?
They sabotaged the stealing. They did not. So they did not add votes to make President Trump the president. They interrupted the flow of illegal votes, fake votes, ballots, to increase Hillary's count. That's why she failed in the last moment. And you know what? Let's say it the way it is. Julian Assange was instrumental. He's part of special operations, of course. We can say it now. Julian Assange. So Clinton, Obama, Biden, Clapper, all these bad people, bad and sick people, they planned to take to steal the presidency and then kill literally everybody. COVID was planned before. And they failed, as you know, thanks to WikiLeaks, thanks to the hackers and the smart men and women under the command of Julian Assange. And Julian was able to deliver a counter coup in the internet with the US military intelligence and taking out the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation and all connected elements and exposed them. Bang. And they were caught red-handed, hands down. And yeah, that's about it. Huh?
At around the time the military intervened and stopped that election steal, Madam Clinton was apparently taken off, and it appears that she watched the first 2 years of the Trump presidency from a small cell, and much to her chagrin, watched very uncomfortably as President Trump took a sledgehammer to the deep state work over those 2 years. Do you have any comment on that?
No, I don't, because I was not involved. You see, I congratulated President Trump through friends I have who live in the Trump Tower. They're known to him, with him, the neighbors with him since 20 years. And I sent an email to her and the wife of the husband, you know, and I said, please give this to the president. And I don't know President Trump. I don't need to know him. He has better things to do than to talk to me, really. Hopefully I meet him one day. It would be a great honor. But really, I congratulated him then already and said, you know, you deserve every vote that you got. And I wrote, I paraphrase now, that you put Mrs. Clinton through the justice system, that what she deserves, bang. And I said, you're a uniter, not only for the United States, a uniter, a rassembleur, but you're also a uniter, an example, a fine example for all the world to watch. And that's what I wrote in email. I still have it, of course. And so you asked me about questions of a coup, which was stopped through a counter coup with the help of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, who became part of special operations to foil the criminal attempt by the Clintons and Obama and all these people to destroy the United States much quicker. If they would have succeeded, we wouldn't be speaking now, I guarantee you. All of us would not be here.
Did we come close, Pascal? Or,
yeah, of course we came close.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah,
we really
did.
Again,
Assange and WikiLeaks were heroes because they enabled the counter coup with their knowledge and their data processing, you know, whatever, their sources. And that's the truth. And you will see very soon Assange being declared free all of a sudden. He's not in a prison, of course. Of course not. Yeah, it's all staged. And WikiLeaks was isolated In the embassy, yes, yes. So the deep state thought, oh, the Assange now is like, now we have him. And the trap with Biden was this fake Biden, because Joe Biden was part of this coup already then. And then Biden tried to steal the election, remember? Failed. They caught him too. Caught all of them. Obama again, the whole crew, Clapper. And President Trump said it. They committed treason. And he said at that time in the press conference in the White House, he said, let's see what happens to them now. Bye-bye. And he left the room. It's clear what happened. All right. So
back to your essay about the U.S. military Operation Storm.
Yeah.
At the outbreak of the coronavirus, how was President Trump deceived into signing the emergency documents that supported the web of lies that you talked about?
What do you mean?
Well, President Trump was deceived into signing emergency documents. That's what you stated in your essay.
Let's make it very clear.
Yeah.
The U.S. military intelligence and the Space Force. By the way, Space Force is now monitoring our call real time. This is good. We're at wartime. They're doing this now.
This is good, yes.
The deep state used to use government assets to spy on the people.
What butter really does to the body of someone with diabetes. That's why diabetes doesn't exist in Israel. It might sound like an exaggeration, but once you understand what's really behind type 2, you'll be...
Okay, we are at about 45 minutes, so that will put us about 6:30, you guys. 30, well, 16, 32, 40, yeah. About 6:30, and we'll be back tomorrow at 3. We'll do this whole video.
Manipulate the population. This time it's around. We use the knowledge and information flow to protect. The technology is used now against the deep state. They're finished. Already, yes, I can declare it to you now. There's some remnants running around now in panic. They'll be taken very soon. But the machine is huge. We're not talking just COVID. We're talking thousands of years. Khazarian mafia. Khazaria is today's Ukraine. The other species, they're not humans. They have betrayed humanity, us, human species, with wrong religion. We don't need religion. God created the universe, created you, me. Do you think God, who creates the universe, I mean, think of it. And he's even bigger than that because he's from the outside. I always told that to Sherry on the last call we had. I cannot be swimming in a pool on a lawn in a house, I mean, in a, park, and then say, hey, honey, I'm creating this pool now because I'm already in it, right? That's a lie. Somebody else has put the pool there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be swimming in it, correct? But the Bible says, I came, I created. Wait, you came in. You already were in the universe, right? So, believe me, Jesus Christ and all that's a very difficult topic now, of course, for many, many. But do you think God made an ambassador, said you must go through Jesus or this guy or this book to talk to me? God is in everybody, and have self-confidence in you and talk to him directly because he listens to you. He listens to you. He hears you. Believe you me, he does. And as President Trump always says, in America, we don't worship government, we worship God. And I add to that elegantly to the Swiss corruption and Swiss cabal and Swiss governments that have done this to us. I say, we all worship God, but now we show you where he resides, where God resides. That's it.
I've heard you speak about God and belief in God in the past, and I just wanted to press you on this a little bit. I sense in your take on this, are you de-emphasizing religion and emphasizing spirituality more in favor of religion?
What? Wait.
Is it a fair statement?
The religion, what? See, if you're in touch with God and God lives in you, and that's the case, it will be revealed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do we need religion?
For me, the answer is obvious, but for people out
I'm
there...
asking you, did your mother give you a book, that an instruction manual how to talk to your mother? No.
No.
You made a mistake? Bang! Right?
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And when you did something great, she took you in the arm and said, you know what, great job, wow, great school, whatever. Yeah, gave you love. So I'm not getting into religious stuff. All I'm saying is the concepts of science are wrong by the Kabbalah. Kabbalah sounds modern, but I'm talking about science thousands of years. History, all wrong. We have spacecraft today on the US Air Force and Space Force. They fly. And we can reach A and B on this world, the farthest points, within 1 hour. In the patent, which is now visible in Google Patents, anti-gravitational spacecraft, hit enter, you get the US Navy patent with all the mathematical formulas. It's a triangle. That's why the Space Force logo, now you get it. Oops, where is it? Here, right?
I have it as well.
Huh?
I have it too.
Yeah, the logo.
Yes.
That's what the so-called TR-3Bs look like at the moment. They can shape-shift a bit like an aircraft at night, not to make people nervous right now as we speak, but they're flying into Air Force bases in England right now at night. And you can imagine the distance from California or anywhere in Omaha or whatever is normally an 7 to 10 hour flight, normal jet and wings, old-fashioned stuff. Here we do 40 minutes, 30 minutes, depending. And no wings, no noise, no smoke, nothing. Yeah.
I'm so curious to know, where did you learn about this?
Well, I make it easier for you.
Sure.
I'm not bearer of any military secrets. I'm not talking about any elements of any military secret.
Okay.
This is all now, all of a sudden, accessible. That should tell you something else between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's preparing the people, right? If the patent of this thing is a spacecraft, highly sophisticated, right? We always had the technology, but that's a different explanation round by the US military or the military to brief you why you will be in a lockdown soon. We always had those things. We came with such things. We don't come from the jungle like the dolphin crawling onto the beach, and then the dolphin grows legs, and then the legs become, and then upright, and then like monkeys, and monkeys become Neanderthals, caves, then the firestone. No. We came here with ships, pretty sophisticated slang, cool shit, right? And yeah. And we are the aliens in a way. God created us, and we are pretty much more intelligent than society thinks we are. We know a lot more. We have the potential is enormous, but we were dumbed down by the deep state, by the Khazari Mafia for thousands of years. And that's gone now. Operation Storm is the war that ends all wars, and current wartime President Trump happens to be at the helm. But this was started by good, late JFK, who recognized the need to get the deep state out of the way because he realized they were lying to him. And I still hope he's alive. Could have been, that's another option now. Maybe they faked the assassination to get President Kennedy out to do his work, continue his work. So Q exists. And as I always say, Q is JFK family, for sure JFK Jr., President Trump, US military, intelligence, psyops. That's Q. Maybe also Assange to a bit. Q. Okay.
Pascal, this is the second time ever I heard anybody suggest that the JFK, we're talking JFK, the father.
Yes.
In 1963.
The president.
Yes, the JFK, the president. This is the second time I've ever heard somebody suggest that that might have been faked. It was actually Jay Widener who discussed it. But if you look at that footage a little bit closely, he appears to be applying something to his face. and Jackie is leaning in and saying, yeah, that looks right. And the detonation goes off.
All I'm saying is, if I'm the president of a country like the United States, and I discovered that we have, as a young president, he was young, right? Navy guy, he's an officer, smart. And he found out that we have spaceships hidden from the government, which belong to the US government, right? And he said, we want to go to the moon, and he finds out that they're lying to him. Then he's not scared. He's concerned about the Constitution, right? He says, if they have the power to do all that lying and hiding the military-industrial complex from the president, who they should report to, right? Then the intelligent thing would have been, and probably they did that, to exfiltrate him and say, you know what, you can do much more as our hidden president, and we'll form a task force that goes through generations, the military intelligence.
What happens when a diabetic takes olive oil every day? It's not sugar, carbohydrates, or age. How come your doctor never told you that?
It's the loyal people to the Constitution. Remember, the United States started with the military. George Washington, General Washington. The military was first. Then came the Constitution with the people, the representatives, meaning the people are the representatives, right? Not the Congress or Senate. The employees are selected by the representatives, the people. So yeah, JFK could have been. That's now really speculation. That's not disclosure. That's speculation. And it could be a big surprise. He would be pretty. I mean, he would be not as young as he was, but he could be alive still. And we know medicine, the one we learned, is wrong. So we have techniques in our possession worldwide. I mean, yeah.
To prolong life.
Well, we never die. That's the whole point. Time is fake news too, I believe. That will be disclosed. That's also speculation, but I think time, the notion of time, is a pure lie. Whoever told you that time exists and goes forward, where's the mathematical scientific proof? We don't. We don't. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've now taken my list of questions and set it to the side because this conversation we're having is absolutely fascinating. Now, Pascal, I just want to say to you that when we talk about the military operation, this is extraordinary.
Yeah.
We talk about disclosure, this is extraordinary. We talk about the geopolitical goings on around the planet. This is extraordinary stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, there's something towering above all of this, and that is what's really extraordinary is our true nature as human beings and the true nature of the universe that we are, some of us, only now opening our eyes to.
When we were born, babies through the mother, remember the mother, the woman is the boss here, really. The Catholic Church and all these religions have turned it upside down. It's not true. Look at the nature. Take a lioness and the dude. Who does all the work? And who defends the family and hunts for the family? Lioness.
The lioness.
The other guy hunts for pleasure and show, right? And he's a big guy and people are afraid of him. Okay. But the lioness is doing the real defense of the family. And you know that somebody attacking a kid of any a kid of any family, ooh, the mothers, right? Yeah, for good reason. And we got to recognize that. And the cabal now went for the kill. They thought, that's why the military intelligence and President Trump put up the fake Biden administration to trap the last remaining deep state people, other leaders. They thought, oh, we got this Biden, now we go there, NATO, all these people, Zelensky, von der Leyen, Trudeau at the beginning, right? Wow, deals.
You talk about this lioness, Pascal. It's such a beautiful analogy. And I think the lioness is also a caregiver. And that makes me wonder, it makes me think about you particularly. You've been vaccine injured. How are you doing right now? What's the status with your health?
No.
Are you okay?
No. we're all terminally ill. We are poisoned with a military-grade bioweapon that was designed to kill. That's fact. We lost a lot of people already. I think the official figures are, the real figures are much higher than the 20 million, much higher, injured and killed, much higher. But and I cannot disclose it because it's not a disclosure and it's not a secret. It's just, that's now my speculation, but I heard a few good sources. The military will immediately roll out an antidote, which has been now developed because they created a bioweapon that is intelligent. But there is an antidote to it. And the US military and Trump have defused most of the bottles, by the way. Otherwise,
yes,
right now, we would have lost 4 billion people by now.
We would have had much more death if they hadn't.
4 billion gone by
obvious.
now. 4.
Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So all these people, and I just said this loud and clear, that have been in any way linked to this COVID psyops and democide born out of Switzerland, global. Doctors too. You injected a human being, you get a bullet. We don't need the doctors anymore. Science will change anyway. But the cleanup will be so shocking for everybody to.
I just got a video I just found. It's 4 minutes. We'll play after this. Princess Diana said, there's a clip showing what happened up between 103 minutes. It just came out. So we'll play it after this big video.
To witness, because people don't believe me. They say, oh, it's not a bioweapon, you're a Trumpist. And no. Science says it's a bioweapon and it is now confirmed. The banks who have the banks who have been involved in those payments, they're taken down, all of them. It's of unfathomable, I call it always, they have done a beyond biblical attack on the human species, and I say it loud and clear. And now our response is a multiple beyond biblical that will be resonating the next thousands of years. And not even a sick and bad people, a human being, will ever dare to think to repeat the same. Because those who done this, that's my claim, they're not human species. They look like you, they look like me, they talk, they're not. They are satanic evil beings and they had to be exterminated. And now the last rats will be torched, caught and shot. Yeah, simple as that. And I always say this during wartime, which we are, Title 50, Section 1550, current and ongoing, right now in the United States, in Switzerland back home, in France, in Canada, wherever you are, you bad and sick people, we are at war. All your telegrams, even your signal, your so-called encrypted channels are real-time analyzed. We know where you are, pedophiles included. And government systems, Swiss ministers hoping to communicate with some panic call right now with some guy of WHO, or if he still exists, on an encrypted Swiss military system. Guess what? We crack it in 5 minutes or 3 or 2. They're finished. And if anybody, that should be known through your channel, if anybody tries to undermine our current war efforts going on right now, trying to undermine it, trying to hamper it, disturb it, will be met by immediate, severe deterrence of the US military or any allied special operations or military forces around the world. And we know where you are, and we know 1 minute before you even think of getting up, doing it, the bad stuff, we will be there before you exit your apartment, house, or car. Boom. It's finished for them. And I like one aspect about it. Torture is a Geneva Convention no-go. You do not torture other people, even in war. But on this one, I think we get a carte blanche. The torture now is that they listen to us, engineer and me, and they realize that they're finished. And they didn't have the bullet yet. They will get it very soon. Yeah.
This is unprecedented. Can I ask you a little bit more about the World Military Alliance?
Got a half hour, guys.
Look, I don't know. I don't have military secrets. I just gave you what Derek Johnson has shared. The documents.info is Derek Johnson, buddy of mine, great guy, American military veteran, a bit younger than I am, straight shooter, no bullshitter, down to the law and orders that are in place and in force. He shared radar pictures that anybody can monitor if you take the time. Is Flight Radar 24 and all these gadgets that you have on the internet. You can track military flights. And the coalition, the alliance, shows you even where they are sometimes.
What butter really does to the body of someone with diabetes. That's why diabetes doesn't exist in Israel. It might sound like...
Right? You see German Air Force flying in the United States, New Zealand, aircraft, Brazil, all kinds of aircraft in US airspace that should not be there. But the fact that they allow the transponder to transmit to this email platform, internet platform, the real flight operations that are at war, they switch the transponders, of course, off. You will not see the E4B, which is the flying command post of our current wartime President Commander-in-Chief Trump, and or the Secretary of Defense. The E4B is a 747 highly modified. You can fly 1 week up in the sky, 1 week, refueled, of course, non-stop. They will, if she is then doing something cool, then they switch off, of course, the transponder and fly to the mission, what they have to fly.
There is actually a channel on YouTube. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's called Monkeyworks US, and they are showing that at any given time, the aircraft that are up in the air. So I've been able to see some of that.
No, you can do it yourself, flightradar24.com.
Yes, yeah.
You can tag them and you can save them as your favorites. And then whenever this wonderful beast goes up into the air, you get an email. Boom, it's in the air. So you can track the Gitmo flights, the execution flights every day now. There's GTMO 844 and then there's GTMO 8001 and all these things. Yeah.
Or are those the designations of the aircraft that go to and from Guantanamo Bay?
Yeah, well, they go from mostly from Fort Lauderdale, KFLLL, to Gitmo and back.
Now, Pascal, you're a pilot. What type of aircraft are you familiar with in your pilot?
I can fly almost everything. I have no official license, but I had instructors teaching me. I also flew a Gulfstream, a G3. I don't know, look, I'm not quite normal in the sense that I learned at Swissair flying 747 cargo, combi cargo. I learned the 757, which is Trump's Air Force plane now, by the way, as an example. Great aircraft, very powerful, can climb like crazy. 737s and also Piper or a Cessna 172. I even once got control over a Dauphin 2, that's the US Coast Guard mainly helicopter, twin turbine, pretty big machine, French originally, built-in license in the States.
What did you learn in Pascal? Did you learn on the Cessna? Where did you begin flying?
No, it's autodidactic. It's, I can't explain it. I think in pictures. That's why it's complicated to explain. If I need to do something, I can do it pretty fast. And I think in pictures. I compute in pictures because a picture has more information, data, than a text. The text has these stupid letters and it's like slow motion for me. It's too slow. But I think in pictures, everything in pictures. Pictures.
As an engineer, I also think in pictures, so I can relate to you.
Yes, but you have mathematical formulas that you had to learn and all these things. I can't deal with that.
Oh, I hated the math, Pascal.
Yeah, but
it was really hard.
Still, you've done it. You're an engineer, right? So
I somehow did it, and
you did it. You've done it, bravo.
It's long in the rearview mirror. I can program a spreadsheet like nobody.
I can't even do that. A spreadsheet, but this management, these two super managers of cabal management, spreadsheet, and we're gonna fire 1,000 employees here. No. I I can't even do a PowerPoint, but I can devise a strategy out of a complex situation, move, I mean, nothing illegal, good stuff. But that was not so much wanted when I was in banking. And then I realized that it was a crime scene. I had to leave the business.
I want to switch topics quickly here over to, I've heard you talk about Bitcoin in the past, but I want to ask you, central bank digital currency. This is clearly a bad thing. Do we need to fear digital currencies?
No, stop.
I know it won't happen.
No, won't happen.
Digital currencies generally, do people need to be worried?
No. Let me say this. The United States and a certain alliance around the world of generals, intelligence, military intelligence, has planned this operation, this war, since that's now ongoing, officially declared since 20th December 2019. Millions of people are in active war duty, 800 total admirals and generals around the world, 200 former or active, duty, war duty, US generals and admirals. The first thing they were thinking about this is the well-being of the human species, because this war is against the deep state, against the Khazarian mafia, against all the rogues. It's so big, it's just unbelievably big. And the central point is the protection, defense, survival, progress, prosperity of the human species, you, us. And that includes, of course, financial aspects. So taxes were illegal. All our parents and grandparents paid taxes, stolen by the rogue governments.
45 minutes.
Fascists,
45.
right? It will all be reversed. All. And money is not important. It's not. The world is rich, much richer than we thought. We have no climate crisis, no energy crisis, no food crisis. The prices went up like crazy, especially in Canada, to shock the people. When the operation is done, everything will collapse because the prices are really, really going to be much, much lower. And Tesla patents will come into force immediately. So your phone will not plug anymore. In this year, you will not plug your phone anymore. It will just always recharged, always.
Should we stop asking how long it's going to take?
No. But back to the money. Bitcoin is good. Why? It's not owned by a company or humans. All the other tokens.
No, I didn't mean you. I didn't mean our agenda here. I meant this whole changeover to the new world.
No.
I've got people asking me every day, how much longer do we have to take this,
I have published the no-fly zone of Mar-a-Lago, which is the White House. And the no-fly zone ends on the last second of the last minute of the last day of May 24. The missile defense system is taken off. On the 1st of June, you can fly with a Cessna, pretty low level, across the wonderful Mar-a-Lago estate.
Wow.
So, if the missile defense system is no longer there on the 1st of June, it's being moved. I mean, the protection is the object to protect, the human being, the family to be protected is the president's family, right? Office is moved long before, right?
Of course.
And now the solar eclipse in a few days, in 3 days. But the sun is in the sign of Pisces, parallel to the moon, parallel. So how is that gonna, I've said enough. The fact that we can talk openly about executive orders that are visible now, no-fly zones that are visible now, of the Mar-a-Lago, of the White House, that are stopping now. Certain statements of President Trump when he said, I don't know if Biden's alive or not. He said, I don't know if he knows himself he's alive or not. Look at the Tesla stock collapsing.
Somebody in chat can.
People start to realize that Biden is not Biden. They start to realize that there's no Obama on stage rallying, right? Nobody. Election interference by these vicious charges like Leticia, this prosecutor in New York. Election interference, hello? That's Executive Order 13848, which means, read the stuff.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with you at 40 Wall Street. And we appreciate you have a lot of press outside, and I think we're going to start.
You absolutely can reverse a cavity, and I'm going to prove it to you.
Drinking warm water before bed fixes tooth and gum problems.
Before a lot of them come in, which frankly always makes me happy. So, a lot of things happened today. This is all about election interference. This is all Biden-run things, meaning Biden and his thugs, because I don't know if he knows he's alive.
Yeah, what can I tell you? I feel the feeling is wrong. I collate. Very soon, Operation Storm will surface. Yeah.
Will surface. It will make itself known to the general population, in other words.
Lockdown, not for a virus, for your own protection.
Ah, I see. Okay.
There's no bombs flying. Remember those corrupt politicians? They have no jets. No need to bring the tanks onto the streets. But then you pick them up. Remove the government.
Pascal, is disclosure for a select few people, or is it for everybody?
Everybody. I don't charge any money. My channel is
I don't
free.
mean you so much. I mean, generally speaking, will we be seeing an official disclosure, or
Of course.
will we?
No.
Okay.
If you're locked into a 10-day blackout, there'll be one TV channel, no other, no internet, nothing. People will be forced to look at that channel, and that channel will inform humanity why this had to happen. And they will all cheer it. They'll all say, wow.
This story is so massive. I wonder if 10 days will be enough to tell the whole thing.
Well, look, again, that's military secrets. I don't know when exactly. I don't know how long. But they're not there to torture the people like in COVID. They're trying to do everything swift. Most of the war is done by the stuff, just not visible. There's some remnants running around. Like Switzerland, I think they keep for the last moment to really show to the people, now we got these motherfuckers. Bam, gone. Israel too, I think. Israeli embassies closed yesterday. Israeli embassies in the Middle East closed down. Boom, 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 boom. The Vatican is shut. The Pope didn't give an address on Easter. Never happened before in the history of Vatican that the Easter address, the Pope, or there was no address to the Catholics. There was none. Cancelled. Because the Vatican is closed, Francis is shot. The dude that you see on television, or Google him, the so-called Pope, does a face like that. It's not Francis anymore, logic. So realize, you wake up slowly. And then the UN, the symbolic, the Palais des Nations, the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, before Christmas, lights out, closed. Where's Greta Thunberg? Where's the climate crisis gone? Where is the mask mandate in the hospital in Canada? Where is Iris gone, the new COVID-2? Where are those viruses? It's all, the whole horror film comes to an end now.
How dare you! There's so many pussies around.
And I always repeat myself, with two endings. One beautiful one for the human species, which is probably the way God intended us to live, free and happy. My commander-in-chief says, the best is another statement if he said that. The other one is the most abhorrent, brutal ending of it's like a splatter movie for the bad and sick people. They get a bullet.
Wouldn't want to be them for any money, let me tell you.
No, but they will be eliminated, and everything else around them that was with them too. And Freemasons, bye-bye. Secret societies, as President Kennedy said, we don't need them, we don't tolerate them, we don't want them. We do not need societies. I don't want them around me. I don't want them.
When you mentioned Vatican back there, I smiled to myself over here because I was picturing a smiling Donald Trump standing next to a very somber Pope Francis.
You saw that 2017, right?
Yeah, you know the photo I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah. Oh, he doesn't look happy at all, as he shouldn't, because he's done.
No, he's already, yeah.
Can I ask you about Vatican gold? Would you be
Taken
willing
out
to?
by the US Air Force, 650 flights, I heard.
Yes, Charlie, right?
Sorry?
Charlie helped with that.
I cannot confirm. No, the US Air Force has their own planes. I'm not informed about any, The US Air Force, they use C-17s. These are big transport aircraft with 4 engines.
Huge planes.
And 650 of those had to be flying forth and back.
Probably a combination of gold and treasure.
I don't know.
Dare venture?
Look, I don't care. Doesn't matter. Vatican is. Money doesn't interest. Look, not important. Important is human species survival, progress. All the rest, money, luxury, is right now, believe me, secondary. Nobody will have any problems with money. I can guarantee you. No. First, you have to be free, and that needs a consciousness. And then respect the military at all times, because these poor people, they are proud people, but they are working hard and risking their lives for us, for our liberty. And the parents cannot know where they are, so the children have to lie to mom and dad. Oh, I was in Croatia, I was in Belgium, I was in Idaho, but they were somewhere else, right? But the parents can be very proud of them. That's for sure.
Cutting the head off the snake in Geneva, where can that film be located, Pascal?
Rumble.
It's on Rumble, is it? Okay.
Look, my Rumble channel is Neutral Swiss. Neutral, like neutrality.
Yes.
Swiss, like Swiss Air, this stupid airline. Number 2, I mean. Yeah. Neutral Swiss, one word. You find everything there, over 100 interviews with professors and stuff. Now, I think you're the last one in the whole collection, engineer.
The latest one.
Latest one and the last one, because we are moving to another location in the United States. And there's this so-called solar eclipse, where people should stack up food according to the US military. Follow the instructions of the military and police. Please do not go to the highway. I think it's, and don't forget some champagne. When the military says get some food stuff, get beer and champagne and wine. I'm not alcoholic anymore. I mean, alcohol can't do me anymore, but a lot of people have a fun time having a drink. Fine for them. Let them celebrate. Why not? I get steaks. Don't eat this artificial meat. It's toxin as well. It's gene manipulated stuff. Beef, chicken. Prices will come down very soon. And the farmers love you for it, because they work every day hard to get you fresh meat and eggs and fresh butter and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, the farmers will be really relieved, won't they? Because they've been really been given the gears lately.
Yeah, look, again, everything, God is in charge, really is. And I always, with Isabel, we say gratitude several times a day. That's all we do. Because we know he's in charge. And the US military is in charge, Canadian military, the military is in charge. And of course, my commander-in-chief and current wartime President Trump is in charge. And a lot will be revealed. Only good stuff. Horrible stuff about the bad and sick people, so people understand why President Trump said it. The good thing about the pause is, remember, he said, everybody will see how bad they have done, so everybody will understand what has to be done. Okay? Now it makes sense, right?
Can someone explain why neurologists still aren't prescribing this honey trick to reverse memory loss and dementia naturally?
A lot has been illuminated for me during this time, yes.
Hope. I have to cut it short, engineer. I don't want to...
no, we do. We agreed to a certain time.
No, I didn't want to. I just say because I have fatigues and I need to get rest. I do that 4 or 5 times a day now. And you were important for me because you've written wonderfully to me, and thank you for your reaching out. Remember, the big news now came from the people, we the people. The mainstream media are now afraid to write about it because they realize they are cornered and they'll be switched off very soon and executed for their crimes against humanity. All of them. Charges to all pedo criminals, you're finished. And Swiss governments, members, all of you. Bang, bang. Kill Bill is a nice song.
We'll see you
Bang,
tomorrow.
bang. Yeah.
Bye,
I don't take the retribution, no, it's the US military justice system, all hunky-dory, above board and clean. But justice system, military law, we don't go to court,
tomorrow
lawyers,
will be at 5
negotiations
o'clock,
about internet in the cell.
5 o'clock.
Boom. The Chinese call it fast trial, and Trump said, oh, so fast, boom, boom, oh. That's what they get.
The timing of this conversation is extremely good before this significant weekend coming up.
Look,
so I'm most grateful to you, sir.
I'm grateful to you. Look, behind me, I still carry this in my laptop, the screensaver of Geneva. That's when we started disclosing things with the Snake movie in October 23. We started disclosures. Disclosure is nothing else. Definition, formally secret information became public. That's what we're doing. We're informing only about .gov, United States property websites. No blogs. We don't give you opinion. Don't talk about you, engineer. Audience, we don't give you opinion. We don't need your approval. We don't need your opinion. We don't want your need your acknowledgement. We don't need your likes. We don't want your likes. But we give you disclosure. And you have to learn how to read disclosures, the .gov references now. Government websites now visible, and do your own checks and verification. If you don't, you're stupid,
told me to
because
do,
that's the past system, right? Oh, the government says it's no. Check yourself, read, and then discover the truth yourself. We cannot give you more than that. If a horse doesn't want to drink and I give it water, then let it die. You cannot run a race with a dead horse. You can't flog it. If people choose to remain stupid, ignorant, in the materialistic bubbles and wait for the government to spoon feed them, and the newspapers and communist networks like CNN spoon feed them with lies, let them continue with that. They have no room in our new world. I'm brutal about that. We don't want this.
I am too, Pascal, and it's all comes down to responsibility. We have to take responsibility for informing ourselves, and many people still have not come to that realization. But this interview is like a good book, I would say. A good book tells you, confirms for you what you already knew, and I'm very happy to say that over the last few years, my own investigation and that of my friends, people who I talk to day in, day out, we've been digging, we've been searching for the answers, and talking to you today confirms what I've thought for a very, very long time now. And you are like a breath of fresh air, sir, coming on. I'm very sorry that you had these
because the Queen,
experiences.
We had to execute the Queen as well. The Queen has been executed for crimes against humanity and pedo crimes. I don't like to be called sir, unless you're in the military, that's different. But I'm fine, I'm Pascal for you, engineer, it's fine. And one more thing, these bad and sick people, they will be shown where God resides. And it had to happen, unfortunately, like that, to liberate humanity, the human species, remember? And if I say a closing word is, believe in yourself, everybody here. Believe in yourself first. God is in you, is in you. Your DNA is God. And you don't need an ambassador, a priest to tell you to go to church to talk to God. You can do that, that's voluntarily, but you will find out soon. Like the mother didn't give you an instruction manual telling you how to talk to your mom. Yeah.
Well, I can't.
Okay. So we'll keep an eye on his videos. That was yep, he's out the window. That thing sword. So we'll keep an eye on Pascal on his videos. I didn't know everybody liked listening to him. So it wasn't too bad. It was a little bit over an hour. So we got quite a bit today. We got Billy's 38 minutes, and we got that one. That's just two alone there. So thanks, Mods, Pargo. Hey, Lucy. Harold must be working. And God bless everybody. Love all, and please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep your faith. Never give up. And signing off for a Monday. Only Monday, you guys. A lot of news on for a Monday. And we'll see you at 3 or 5 o'clock, because I got an appointment at 2 o'clock. So it'll be about 5. If I get home sooner, I'll be on, but we'll schedule for 5 tomorrow. So we'll see you around 5. Sign off, Chico, dude, Ariel, and Bella. Yep. We'll see you guys all tomorrow.